It is 5 o'clock. I'd like to get the meeting started. Would you please do the honors of
Yeah, I can call the roll.
roll call?
Yep. Committee Member Arnie?
Present.
Committee Member McKellar?
Present.
Committee Member Trotter? Committee Member Williams? Committee Member Toft?
Present.
Chair Zierden.
Here. All right, Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Next, number 4 is approval or any amendment to our agenda.
I had requested, and it's my fault, I want her on the agenda. I wanted, Mrs. Wallen wanted to speak before we get to 9A. And I had requested that last week. Like, we have Mr. Mosier a chance to speak, so she wanted a chance to speak before we got into the rules and the permit. So I'm assuming that's okay.
Yeah, guess I was just expecting that as part of our old business.
Yeah,
but
it was my fault. I didn't put her on the agenda, so it was technically my fault. Thank you.
I'm happy to hear from people, so.
I would just like to add discussion of porta potties for the disc golf courses. We haven't talked about that, and we would need to get that going. People are using it. We have to go to the bathroom. We don't need people going in the woods. So I would like to add that to wherever you think is appropriate.
Would that, it's not necessarily new business. Could we put it at 9? Or could we add it to,
So, yeah, 9A.
work plan.
Work plan, so 9A, number 1.
to include that?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Anything else? All right.
So just a point of clarification here. You want to add an actual item under new business, Mr. Toft?
Not really. Mrs. Wallen's going to speak before we get to 9A.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
Just make sure.
And I think the appropriate time would be open forum and not have it be limited.
Right.
I mean,
Well, I don't want her limited, though, in time.
I said not be limited. I mean, then you don't have to wait till later either. That sounds reasonable to everybody. Okay. So anybody move to,
I move to approve the agenda with the one
Amendments?
change,
Okay.
addition.
I'll second that.
okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. All right, so next is, number 5 is election of officers. And that's something that was left off, we left off at last meeting, so.
Yep. So last meeting, the committee did not elect a chair or a vice chair, opting just to save it to your following meeting, which would be today. So yes, we're just looking for someone to be willing to serve as chair for the remainder of 2024, and then someone as vice chair.
I'd like to make a motion I'd like to nominate Gail
Okay.
as a chair. And yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Whether you can say if you want it or,
I will do it.
I'm going to nominate Megan Zierden again.
thank you for that, but I am going to step down. Personal family reasons, and I still want to be involved on the committee, and I plan to stay on the committee.
Well, thank you for what
Yeah.
you've done over the years.
But-
I've been chair. Thank you.
Thank you for the nomination, but I'm going to bow out.
She had already told me that, but she did not say she was going to nominate me. So I knew she was stepping down, but I was unaware I was getting nominated, so.
So do we have any second
I'll second the nomination
for Gail?
for Gail, yes.
Thank
Oh,
you.
yeah, there were 2.
Are there any other nominations?
Do we do this before we go to the vice chair? Okay.
All right, so there's a motion on the table.
And
That's a second.
Yep.
So all those in favor of having Gail be our chair, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Aye.
So Jim, were you also opposed or?
Opposed.
Okay.
Okay,
So I've got, those
3,
I was
I said-
okay with it.
and then Gail, you abstained.
No?
You voted for it, you voted for it, okay.
Yeah, I voted.
So it's okay, 4-2, so that's okay. Just want to make sure I got the vote right. Okay. Okay,
all right, and then
I'd like
vice
to
chair. yeah.
nominate Deanna. I know, right?
Have to switch
Surprise.
seats.
Yeah, we will switch seats. I will get out of the way.
I'll nominate Jim for vice chair.
Okay,
and then there,
Any seconds for
Committee member
anybody?
Arnie, you declared you did nominate Committee member
Deanne.
Trotter. Deanne, okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
Mrs. Trotter.
Arnie nominated Trotter, okay.
And then Jim nominated, or was nominated
And
by
then, yep.
Bill.
Yep.
Okay, any other nominations or
Second?
any seconds of, for vice chair?
I appreciate the nomination, but at this time, I'm going to decline the nomination for vice chair. Continue on the committee.
Great.
You can
Let's-
decline too, Jim.
I'll nominate Bill.
Are you declining your,
I'd like to decline at this time.
okay.
I appreciate it very much, but
Diane?
Do we have to, and that's the other thing is, do we have to have a vice
It's
chair?
nice to have a vice chair in case the chair's not here. The
Yeah.
vice chair is the one who steps in.
I mean, I've been gone once. And Sandy ran it, but,
If there is no vice chair, then what'll happen is if the chair is gone, the committee will just have to select someone at that meeting to run that
do
meeting.
you want to do like, maybe I would, the previous chair? Or just somebody, anybody can run it?
Ultimately, we would want a direct, like a consensus, a vote from you all, what you would like to do.
I'll be the vice chair if they vote for me. I mean, let's just, so we can move on here.
I would say there still should be a formal vote.
Okay. So all those in favor of Bill being vice chair?
Do we need a second?
Oh, yeah. Do we need a second? Can we make a motion? Honestly, I don't think that there's a whole lot of point of having a vice chair.
Yeah, if you are, the past chair could,
Is there
Take the
any
spot.
well, I'm saying, is there, you have a nomination for vice chair, that nomination's been accepted, because there's no reason at this point, the procedure would be to vote on
Okay.
that nomination.
I didn't know if we needed.
but there's no second.
Yeah, if there's a second,
There isn't.
okay. Then, okay, now, once we clarify,
Okay.
there's no second.
I would make a motion to
let it float.
just have a chair, and then if chair can't be there, one of us are very well capable of doing that. And I like that actually even better, because it's
Second.
more of a shared,
I will second that.
a second that, Jim?
I like that. Gives everyone a
Okay.
try at it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Gail, do you want to move here? You kind of got your,
You don't have to switch seats. If you want,
Let's-
you can run it from your seat.
I'm running it now? Oh, right.
There you go.
Oh, boy.
Here we go.
Not even next month? Gosh. Okay. So we did
so
that.
we're on to 6.
We're on
And-
to open forum.
We're on to open forum, so I'm going to need some help from you two.
This is when you just invite anyone who would like to speak to anything, address the committee. This is your time.
And say your name and your address.
Okay. I'm Gina Vermilia, and I live at 32168 East Street.
Can you pull that mic a little closer,
Is
please?
it on?
It's on.
Thank
Okay.
thank you.
Is that better? Do you want me to repeat?
Nope, we're good.
I'm here to speak on the community garden. I have been involved in a couple of community gardens, and I'm very excited to help the community garden get started and maintained. I have the impression that almost everybody on the park board is in favor of that, so I'm not sure I need to go through the benefits of community gardening, but I do have something prepared. The community garden provides essential services that are recognized as a healthy addition to cities. They provide a wealth of benefits for gardeners, but also the community as a whole. Benefits to health include both physical and mental. Gardening can be a fulfilling source of exercise, improving endurance, strength, balance, and flexibility. How much is that worth? Gardening also promotes better health by increasing availability of organic fresh fruits and veggies. One study found a nearly 4-fold increase in vegetable intake by adults and 3-fold increase among children. Kids allowed to play in the dirt are exponentially more likely to eat what they have helped grow. Gardening also boosts mental health by reducing anxiety, depression, and stress, which helps to regulate mood and connects people to nature, a natural stress reducer. Children today especially are experiencing what's called nature deprivation. How much does poor physical and mental health affect medical expenditures and cost to society as a whole? What is that worth? Food security. Remember the pandemic and food shortages, exorbitant prices. Gardening provides an opportunity to increase food security at little or no cost. Social connection. Community gardeners report significantly higher levels of well-being than individual or home gardeners. Community gardens are a space of cooperation, leading to social interaction, the development of friendships, and an enhanced sense of belonging. They foster a sense of connection among participants. By working together for a common goal, gardeners build relationships, share knowledge, and support one another. An example of this is when parents meet and they find that they can share childcare. And one benefit that I myself have experienced is the joy of creativity. To me, it's an art form. I get to express my creativity. The garden is a place where necessity is the mother of invention. Creativity and imagination are needed for planning and problem solving. This is priceless. I've lived in Breezy for 7 years. I love it here, but it does not feel like a community. And when the community garden is established, I'll be very happy to contribute my knowledge, my physical, as long as that lasts, and support for other gardeners, even helping keep things that are not particularly my responsibility to make sure that they're done. I have been involved in community gardens, and I know that not everybody who starts out with the enthusiasm follows through. And so to have other people that are willing to support them rather than criticize them also enhances the sense of community and belonging. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I'm just going to kind of echo what she said. My name is Darcy Penner. I live at 8890 Breezy Point Drive, which is a Waldenheim condominiums. We don't have any gardens or the ability, based on our board, to have a garden. So to me, it would be something that I can't do in my yard anymore. But I've been living at Breezy Point for 3 years now, and I've been hearing about the garden for at least 2 of those. If it is true that it's something that pretty much everybody is on board with, I guess I don't understand why nothing's been done to date. I do know that the people that live at a number of people that live at Waldenheim would take part in the garden, and right now I'm driving to Pine River
Wow.
to go to their garden. And it's really a jaunt every time I need to water. So I'd really like to see you guys get on it, and I think it'd be popular, and I think it would be a good thing to bring the community together, and we need that right now. Thank you.
I have a question. What do they charge you at Pine River?
Can you step up to them?
It's nominal. It's $10 for a 15 by 15 plot, and then the raised beds are 15. And we have work days, and people come in and they do different things. Since I've been doing it, they've planted. We now have an orchard. It's just really been.
Wow.
I bring the produce into the condos, and it's gone. So, and I know that I don't know exactly who they're talking to, but I do know that there's a number of bonds and programs that can be utilized for help financially and also for the education piece. So another positive.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Valerie Walline. I live at 31894 Blue Ridge Drive, Breezy Point, which is White Birch 16. I'd like to speak to you today. I come to you today because the disc golf rules are being considered, and I would really like to ask that you guys consider the known concerns in drafting the rules. And maybe you're not aware of some of the documented concerns, so I'd like to make sure you've been advised and have access to some of the information. I live on the expansion.
Can I say that we have heard several times, because we've had open forums on this, so we know all the concerns. There was someone who's come to every single meeting and talked about them.
Okay.
So I don't think we have to hear all of that again.
I'd like to hear it. I would like to hear
so
it. She would have been part of the agenda otherwise.
Well,
I would like to say
we've
it's
heard it
open
over and over.
forum.
Well, we're going to hear it again.
well, this has to be in regards to the permit. So since you don't even know what's on the permit, I don't know how you can address items that would relate to the permit, and that's what we need to keep this to.
Well, I think part of, well, number one, I would disagree because I'm part of the open forum, so I can speak to anything that involves Park and Rec. Am I right, Mr. Chansky?
I would say as they've allowed people to speak on community garden, which is on the agenda, I don't see why this would be different.
Okay, thank you. And so I'm not trying to be oppositional, but I live on the disc golf course. You have not yet heard my experience.
I did hear you talk. You spoke at one of the meetings quite extensively.
And so, I feel like I came wanting to bring evidence and just share my concerns. I'm not oppositional. The disc golf course was not my choice, but the city passed it. So now we have the disc golf course expansion. You haven't heard me complain a lot about anything since the city went back, corrected the process, and moved forward. It's the city's decision. Whether I agree with it or not is no longer the issue. Okay, but now we have it, and there are known concerns, and I'm asking you guys as a committee to consider those known concerns as you're promulgating rules, which was my understanding from some of the emails I saw was part of your work plan with the disc golf course, that's part of what you guys have been tasked with. So my purpose is to ask you to address the known risks, to create a safe space that's enjoyable for all, not just disc golfers, not just walkers, not just snowshoers, not just cross-country skiers. It was developed, and the intention behind this space, developing this outlot, was to create a community public space that could be a joint use, multi-purpose, okay? So that's my request. Secondly, living where I do, I know the terrain makes it difficult for law enforcement to respond meaningfully. And so I'd ask that you not make the rules such that it makes it impossible for our law enforcement to enforce what you put out there as the disc golf course expansion rules.
What, do you have any example of that?
I do.
Okay.
Yep, I'll get to that.
Good, because I'm
Yep.
not,
Some of the known concerns are smoking and vaping, alcohol consumption, noise. I can have my window open and just the topography, the noise comes right up the hill. You can be speaking like this at the tee box, and I can hear every word you say very clearly. So don't say anything on the disc golf course that you don't want everyone to hear, because I can hear it. I've recorded it a number of different times just to see if it records and transmits as clearly, and it does. And we have a basement, a walkout basement, and a 2-story house, so 3 stories up is where I'm recording from, okay? There are multi-use safety concerns. And for example, one of the concerns I have is my kids like to go out and walk the circle that's back there behind our house on the expansion. If we don't know that there's a league event or a tournament going on, I think the amount of people going through would give us a clue, but are my kids not allowed to be on the course? And if so, how am I gonna know that? How am I gonna know that?
we've addressed that.
I'm not sure you're aware, but there is a concern for weapons, and I have a case out of St. Cloud with a disc golfer who has registered on UDisc as having played our course in March, and he was convicted of leaving a loaded weapon lying on the ground near the tee box. Okay, so that is a concern. It is a potential concern. I would like to share with you the officer's statement when they filed the case. The man's name is Alex Schneider. He uses the disc golf handle of MVP Shot Caller. It's also his TikTok name, okay? There he is, okay? This is, I'm not here to slander anybody. I'm here to say this is going on. He played the course behind my house, okay? This scares me as a mom, okay? There he is. This is where he played our course. On what date? March 2nd, 2024. Okay, I will happily leave these copies with you. Okay, there's one of the ways you link him. The case is found at 73 CR-23-6106. It's the state of Minnesota versus Alex Kemen Schneider. The statement of probable cause reads, the complainant states that the following facts establish probable cause. So the plaintiff is the state, okay? On May 14th, 2023, bifocals aren't working, Alex Zabaj with Waite Park Police Department was dispatched to a found property complaint at Rivers Edge Park in the city of Waite Park, County of Stearns, state of Minnesota, for a report of a handgun that had been located in the park. At that location, Officer Zabaj spoke with BMS, an adult male fully identified in the police reports. BMS stated that he was playing disc golf in the park when he located a handgun on the ground. Officer Zabaj examined the firearm and observed that it was a Ruger 9mm handgun. The firearm had a round of ammunition in the chamber. Okay, in the chamber, lying on the ground. Okay, I'm a gun handler. Number one, I would never have my gun loaded unless I'm threatened. Secondly, I would never lay my handgun down on the ground and walk away. That to me shows an extreme disregard for ordinary care, reasonable care. It had a round of ammunition in the chamber and had a magazine containing additional ammunition. Law enforcement ran an e-trace on the firearm and discovered that the firearm was registered to PMY, an adult male fully identified in the police reports. Officer Zabaj spoke with PMY, who stated that he sold the firearm to Alex Kimmen Schneider, date of birth, the defendant herein. PMY had the defendant contact Officer Zabaj. The defendant admitted, here's what's concerning to me. The defendant admitted that he brings a firearm with him when he goes disc golfing. Those are his words, not mine. He admitted it. He also admitted that he knew the main users of the park are children. The defendant did not recall removing the handgun from his disc golf bag. Complainant has reason to believe and does believe that all of the above information is true and correct, and that's what they based their charges on. He was convicted, and I have to go to a different page. I didn't have time to print this one, I don't believe.
think we have the idea.
Well,
I don't think we need every single detail.
I would like to finish what I came to say. Because I think it finishes out the picture, okay? He was convicted. He's serving probation. One of the things I think this helps complete the picture, he's not to possess any firearms, dangerous weapons, knives, or replicas, and he had to surrender the firearm to Stearns County Sheriff. So as long as he's on probation, he's not supposed to possess, which means he probably didn't possess when he was behind my house, but it's a 1-year probation. And he admitted that he regularly carries a gun with him when he disc golfs. Okay, I know it's just one person, but one person, what if that was my kid who came along and picked up that handgun? I mean, I'm sorry, but there's nothing worth that. Not anybody's kid in this community should have to face that risk. And so I'm asking that as you guys promulgate rules, you genuinely consider some of these concerns. I know you guys have probably seen these pictures, alcohol containers, cigarette butts, cigarette packaging. I mean, the rules currently for park use are none of this, okay? But somebody's throwing it away back there. There's a vape there. Here's a picture of a White Claw can thrown in the woods. Those are some of the known concerns. I try rarely to come to a meeting and present concerns without also presenting some type of solution, okay? So Waite Park, River's Edge, is a shared space. It has only 12 disc golf tees, okay? But there's a splash pad, there's a hockey rink, there's like 7 baseball or softball diamonds. I mean, it's a truly big, it's 40-acre parcel that is truly multi-function. There's another one that I found that I thought was comparable to us that had some rules. One of the things they do is one disc golf course is free to play, always free to play for everybody. The other disc golf course that's more rigorous is a fee. And you can either single pay fee, or you can buy a seasonal pass. And then similar to like what we see with seasonal passes at the school district, there's reduced fee if you're a senior, there's a student rate, there's a single rate, there's a family pass, okay? So, you know, as you're considering those types of things, I would ask you to, use similar resources. I mean, people use passes all the time, and it would allow us a way to help pay for the maintenance, know who's back there, who is at least registered for a pass, and yet keep it where there's one disc golf course that is free for everybody, or both, or whatever you decide, or it's all pass. You have to have a pass. So thank you for your time.
I have a
Yes.
few questions, please.
Sure.
Thank you for presenting, by the way. I very much appreciate hearing your issues, and we want to address those, and we seriously thank you for that. Secondly, I just have a couple questions regarding the noise. You say people just talk. Well, what would be your remedy for that?
I don't honestly have one. Maybe, as the course, right, allow the foliage to grow back in,
Sure.
allow a buffer. I mean, technically, our ordinances require, I can't remember on parks if it's a 30 or a 50-foot buffer between residents' homes. And for the most part, the expansion hits that. There are a few places that it doesn't. But allowing the foliage to grow back in would be fantastic. Or, if the disc golf clubs or community members are willing to come in and plant native growing that don't require water, because we all know watering back there is
Yes.
hard to. So there's not really a lot. The topography just makes it such that noise is hard to.
So on those issues of noise, first of all, it's a sporting event, so there's going to be hooting and hollering. I mean, we just can't stop that, right?
Right.
And we ask that you come here understanding that it's going to take time for those things to grow back and that sound barrier to be there. It can't be instantaneous. And we at the park cannot provide that.
Right.
And then my second question is, like in Waite Park, you were discussing one was a pay and one was not. Do they have an attendant there that does that? Because we do not have that. Now, how are we going to police that?
Well,
How would we police that?
I think, I don't know if they have an attendant. I would think probably based on the size and the fact they have a hockey arena and other things, they probably have an attendant.
That's what I'm thinking. So that's kind of not really what we can do here as a, you
Well-
understand where we come from.
Yeah,
If we had
I
somebody
think
there
there's-
all the time, we could really regulate that kind of thing, but that's getting kind of beyond what we can really do as a Park and Recs committee.
I
I
think
was just
as
going to say, this was done in the Park and Rec's recommendation, so we talked about what might happen down here, so I'm not surprised that any of this has happened. I've heard it too. Usually I'm hearing 3 or 4 Effenheimers about every 30 minutes when I'm down there. 4 holes conversion on my property. And yeah, what can we do? Nothing. I've just got to put up with it when I'm out there with my grandkids and hear somebody say, well, hit that effing tree and you'll be right next to the basket. That's real pleasant to hear. So I know I'm not mad at you, Jib. I'm just
No,
saying.
I totally understand that, but I can go walk in the mall and hear that same stuff and nobody's playing.
But you're not in your backyard, are you? You're in the mall. You're in the mall.
You hear it on the lake,
No,
in our backyard,
I
we
get
hear
that. I
everything
get
from
that.
all the way across the lake.
So if there wasn't a golf course there and somebody was in the woods
And
walking,
music
they could still
blaring.
be talking the same way.
Can I go back to,
Really hard.
okay, sorry,
sorry.
go ahead. I was just going to say, can I go back to your fee? It's interesting to me because just being a cross-country skier, so the state ski pass helps to pay for all the grooming of trails all over the state. And many of the courses do not have an attendant because they're out in rural places. But using those ski trails that at any time somebody might come by and ask to see your pass from the DNR, and when they do, you better have it with you because otherwise you're going to get a fine for that. So,
That speaks to
Right.
creating rules that law enforcement can enforce. If
right,
they
and
get a call,
if they're regularly somehow patrolling,
Right.
and then people know, and it becomes known that we do check, and you need to have a pass to play. I mean, that's an option, and that's how it's handled on other courses. So, without having to pay an attendant to sit there
Right.
all the time, which
Yeah.
obviously is not going to happen. So,
you have a form that you fill out
Yeah.
at the desk, and you come in and pay your fee, and you get your pass.
Yep.
And you have to carry it with you on your desk. Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You know, you
QR
could have it
codes.
online or, I mean, any number of apps you could use. I mean, those are all process
It's just-
decisions, but they're practical. There are ways to do it.
And we would have to discuss somebody managing that. That's a
Yeah.
whole different thing that we're talking about, going down a rabbit hole here.
Well, and honestly, if it's gonna happen at disc golf, I mean, I think of all of our parks, I mean, I have concerns of weapons too. I am a carrier myself. And that is terrifying. And I know your kids, and I know our kids are our kids. But I don't know, the other pieces, could that be at any of our properties? I mean, how do we,
I think there's no weapons allowed anyway. Isn't
does
there?
say that.
So then the rule's already there.
Since when do they follow the rules? They don't follow any of the signs rules.
That's all we can do.
That goes for everything.
Right.
in life.
whether they're
So-
at any property?
I was going to say that if they are really disc golfers and they golf a lot, they're using that U-disc, and we're going to have the QR code so we'll know, like you tracked them through the U-disc. They don't even have to pay to use that. So we're going to be able to track them through U-disc, who's on there. We can look at that. Just regular people going through, like me and my family, my grandkids. I mean, we're not going to be bringing guns, and we're hopefully not swearing and
Yeah, that's
talking
like-
too loudly, but the real golfers who really keep their track of their golf
Well,
scores,
he-
they will, use the U-disc, so they'll be signing
He
in.
is that demographic.
Yeah.
He plays all the time. I mean, you can go in UDisc and see where he's played in the last couple of weeks, all the time, several times at the River's Edge Park.
I just don't want
So,
to make it like
and-
all disc golfers
No,
are criminals who carry
not-
guns and leave them on disc golf courses. 'cause
Not
I
at
just
all,
think
but
a
would you,
stretch.
if you were disc golfing and you were the one who came along with your
Yeah,
grandkids
no,
and saw
wouldn't like
that
that at all.
9mm Ruger,
No, that would be scary.
what
Terrible.
would, what
Nobody
would
is
you
denying that,
feel? And how would that change how you would advocate in the rule promulgation that you're doing?
Yes, we're not
And that's all I'm
actually
asking.
doing like the signs for the rules, we're doing the event permit.
Mm-hmm.
And today is the event permit, and that's for large groups of
Mm-hmm.
the more serious golfers who do the tournaments. And you were asking about, how will I know? Well, we're going to have public notice of when those tournaments are going to be happening, and they are renting the whole course for the day, and they're paying us a fee. So those couple days, and we made a rule of how many days and what months, May 15th through September 30th. We're going to try to finalize today, and like only 3 per,
And Chair Arn, I do think
limit.
there's some, may I speak first?
yes.
There are some things on that still that we're going to get to in a conversation, because I don't think that personally that both should be taken over. We're first public, and I don't know, that's one thing that I've been feeling, maybe they can rent one or the other at a time, but, so I don't want it to sound like our
So
committee has
that's-
decided
I mean,
that.
that's addressing one of your issues, which I wanted to talk about. You will have public notice if there is going to be a large tournament, and those are the people who are going to, there's rules for governing in the Disc Golf Association. If anyone gets caught drinking, smoking, whatever, they're going to try to leave, they're the ones who are going to try to leave it better than when they came. It's just the average, everyday person that runs in there who doesn't respect, the game like they do and the courses the way they do, that I think is more of an issue. So those, I'm not concerned that that's going to be a problem on those days. It's just random people coming. So the permit we're going over today is just for 3 events a season or whatever, and that's all we're going to have.
So I would just like to say, some of you who know.
If you speak, I'd like to be after you.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, Diane, thank you. Know that I am a lawyer, and I would just say that from a lawyer's perspective, I would be all over a defendant if the only way a city had to track misuse or breaking rules was UDisc.
Well,
It's
I
not-
just said
it's not a
that's one
city
way.
enforced- I'm
That's-
saying if that's the way you choose, understand that you most likely are leaving it wide open if you have violations for a defense attorney to eat your cake.
Well, I was going to say some other things too, like, didn't we just buy a side-by-side for the police so they could patrol more easily, right, Joe?
Yeah, $50,000.
So there you go. We went the extra mile there to get the money and the vehicle and the ability for them to get back in there and to be watching it more closely and to be able to respond quickly and get to those remoter locations. So I think
Right.
that's another thing that's been done. And now Diane?
Can you clarify for me the connection you had between people having to sign in or pay and the weapons? Because I cannot, for the life of me, understand the gun culture at all. I cannot believe people even want those things.
Right.
So, but how do you think that if people had to pay, that would stop weapons? Or wasn't that the link?
No, that isn't the link.
You said you like to bring solutions. What was your solution to the weapons? Just no weapons on our signage?
Just be aware. I think that's an issue that probably has not been on your radar. I think you're very well informed of alcohol consumption, vaping, and smoking back there. Those are
Not for those either.
Right. Well, and I appreciate that. Thank you. But I think one of the things that I learned recently, and was I would never have thought that somebody would do this. And so when I found it, I was appalled. And as a parent, as a weapon handler, I know, gun safety. You never have your weapon loaded unless you're preparing to use it. And then secondly, you never leave it lying on the ground, unattended, loaded with additional weapon ammunition in the cartridge. But I think my solution to that, or my suggestion, would be to make sure your rules are reasonable for law enforcement, so that if it's no guns at our parks, then it's no guns at our parks. Or if it's permit to carry, then it's permit to carry. Or if you're not going to have a no guns or a permit, just not say anything about weapons, then you need to have a way who's back there that is city controlled, because law enforcement is going to have a harder time linking who's played.
Even if you knew who was playing, how are you going to look at somebody and know if they're carrying a gun? I mean,
You're only going to know if they lay it on the ground or you see it in their disc golf bag or something like that. And then maybe they have the right to carry. And if there's no rule in our park and rec guidelines, even specific to that park, you have the right to carry that gun in your bag as long as you have the appropriate permits. And so, police can come along and say, hey, we had a report that you have a gun, and you say, yep, and here's my weapon, and here's my permit, and they're gonna say, okay, thank you, have a nice day, because you're a law-abiding citizen. The difference with a permit to carry is that you have been vetted through a pretty rigorous process. You also have to take gun safety and a lot of other classes, and you have to renew and all of those things. So there's a record, if you have a permit to carry, of you have to buy a permit to buy the gun, you have to do your permit to carry, okay? So there's 2 records there that you can use to help trace a lost gun and potentially who it belongs to. So that's all. I just, I think I wanted to make you guys aware that that's a potential, and consider it as you're promulgating the rules. So thank you. I appreciate it.
We'll do that. Thank you,
David?
thank you.
Thanks, Val.
David, do we have anything that says you can't bring guns in City Hall or city property? Is there any sort of,
No.
nothing like that?
The section, I'm actually looking at it now, chapter 131 of the city code, talks about acts prohibited, and it does talk about firearms. It talks about furnishing to a minor, selling when you're not, permitted to. But discharging, it is unlawful to carry a loaded or unloaded gun, pistol, revolver, rifle, or other firearm or device which ejects a projectile openly or uncased. However, then follows that in section 131.04,
thought we did, but we
exceptions.
should
One
revisit.
being any person lawfully permitted to, by proper federal, state, or local authorities to discharge a firearm. Okay, not that, actually, sorry, not that one. Where is it here? Carrying of a concealed handgun with a valid permit for personal protection or to a person in the act of self-defense. So if they have a carry permit, they get to carry. If they don't have a carry permit, well, they shouldn't be carrying, period. So. And if they have a carry permit per our code, I would still say, again, I would have to confer with Chief Sandell, but, just you have a carry permit, again, doesn't allow you to be brandishing it unless you are in an act of self-defense.
That's just, bottom line, is an irresponsible, gives a bad name to us people who have carry permits, but you can't take
And I think
stupid
that
out of some people.
As Mrs. Walleen was getting to that case with that gentleman, in that case, it sounds like he did have a carry permit, but again, he was still breaking the law, but just because you have a carry permit doesn't mean you're allowed to leave it on the ground.
Right.
So that's why he was
Irresponsible.
charged, is because he wasn't in control of his firearm.
Would you like to,
I was just,
I'm
isn't
sorry.
there an override to that rule where if you put no guns or guns banned here, you see it? Is that just something that people put in, like at restaurants and?
It has to actually be a certain size, and most places don't have it the correct size. I just recently got mine renewed, and so I could carry into a lot of places because it's not by law the correct size.
But could Parks and Rec then have?
We
the
could
right
maybe have the right size.
And then make it part of the rules so that they are banned?
From all parts.
From all parks.
Yeah.
I,
Well, I like even no weapons, because,
not just
if we're talking
guns.
about knives and bows and arrows, I mean, there could be, people don't need those at our parks.
We shouldn't even have to be talking about this, in my opinion.
agree.
I've never seen in 50 years of playing golf a handgun left at a regular golf course.
Madam Chair, if I may, just remind the
Yeah.
commission, we are
Yeah.
still an open forum, and this
Yeah.
is an
Yes.
agenda item.
Yeah.
So before we keep discussing this issue, I'd suggest,
See if there's
All right.
is
anyone
anyone
else
else
for
under
open
discussion,
forum.
open forum, and continue with the agenda?
Yep.
All right, it looks like everyone who's sitting out there has spoken, so we can move on to approval of minutes. Does anybody have anything?
I'll move to approve the minutes because they were so long ago, I can't remember if there was a mistake.
You mean you didn't read through the whole thing?
You say you approve them? I'll second it if you said.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, new business. The Paul Bunyan Scenic Byway. I was at the council meeting on Monday and just happened to, hear them talk about it. They came and made a presentation on the byway. They promote business, they promote recreation in all the areas that are along the byway. I'm just going to make a real quick overview here. This is the map that they give out. And under Breezy Point, Parks, Trails, Beaches, Rivers, we have City Park, Breezy Point Walking and Ski Trails, don't know where those are, Pelicanwood Cemetery and Nature Center, and Pelican Lake Conservation Club Nature Trail. So we're kind of lacking on the names of our parks that we have, and our whole disc golf course, which is top rated in the state, is not even listed there under Parks, Trails, Beaches, and so we
It's
need,
under Breezy Point Attractions,
but it's not,
Breezy Point
oh,
Disc Golf Course.
but it's Parks, Trails, and it's a park.
Okay.
It's
And-
part of that, though. when you
Huh,
consider
and the
it.
other parks,
I mean,
too,
it's one
like-
of our parks.
I don't know if the wrong names are used here, but we should just look this over
Sure, it's updated.
and then just update it, yep. And then their web page also had other things. We finalized new names for our parks when we did our master plan, so we should be updating there. They have a video project where, opportunity, where people could send in videos and post them on there, and I think playing disc golf or snowshoeing or whatever would be great to get in there. And then the contact name for any changes is on there. So I just wondered if anyone would like to just take this and, like maybe 2 people, polish it up and send it back for, the changes.
I'd be willing to help with that. I've worked with them
Oh,
some.
excellent.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think the disc golf should just be moved down to our parks, and just little things like that.
Is that
Update
really our
names.
call to tell I mean, they put their map out and stuff. Is it really our,
They came and asked us for updates,
Yeah.
to move, okay.
and it just hasn't been updated,
Yeah, they'll take any feedback, obviously.
just a
It's
service
whatever-
they're
whatever
doing for
At the end
us.
of the day, willing to do, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said that they'll take any feedback.
Yeah.
So that would be great. And then I think that covers it then on that one. So, old business. City Council disc golf course director.
Okay, I'll take this, Madam Chair.
Okay.
So I think everyone's aware of it, I kind of talked about it a little bit. At the January council meeting, the council adopted the attached list of directives regarding the disc golf course. So the first 12 were directives to do, and then there other ones were items that the council said the committee can also discuss. So with these directives, really what we're doing is pretty much kind of not handing it to the committee, but saying, okay, council said we are doing these things, do these things. What we're here to discuss is if you want to be involved in the how. Obviously, some of this is something we're already doing, creating the rules. It's on the agenda tonight, obviously, to talk about the permit. Again, you see the list, things like basket silencers. I know Joe's already been working on that. Speed limit sign. I don't think we have the speed limit signs, but that's something that's a little bit of a public safety thing. But like the directional signage, I think Joe has an update for you on that. What you've been doing, placing signage or like quiet zone signs at the start of each 18. Really, what we are here to discuss is, does the committee, one, want to be involved in kind of getting the how and the nitty gritty of what do the signs look like? If you are, I've kind of got a work plan in here of, if we address a certain number of items every single meeting, we can get it done pretty quickly. If otherwise, if you want to just defer to staff to get it done, we can get these things done using our professional knowledge on these things. Or maybe there's just some of them you want to work with, and some of them you just say, this is staff, you guys have this, we trust you on that, but we do want to discuss this. I think bathrooms were brought up. If the bathrooms are something you want to play a role in, but you don't care about, where the speed limit signs are, because that's really kind of public works and public safety, them figuring that out based off of what state statute allows. So that's kind of what we're here to figure out is, what role do you want to play? Do you want to work with staff on everything, some things, or just say, nope, we're good, you do it?
David, can you tell us what things would be a more routine and would be more something for you to handle? And then maybe the others could be optional if we want to, because I'll tell you, I have felt many times that we are too deep in the weeds and we are micromanaging way beyond what we need to, and we should maybe turn staff loose and let them do their jobs.
Otherwise, nothing will ever get
I
done.
do think that they
Yeah.
want to have direction from us as a committee at times.
And I think part of it is, so obviously, again, with these first 12 items, these are items that the council said.
We're doing them.
We're
Yeah.
doing them.
There's no-
So.
Can we just
the
start
things
there?
For like something like the signage, okay? Place sign every 35 feet along property lines of current developed property line along the entire disc golf course. And that had a quote in there of kind of what they want the sign to say. Do you want to be involved in actually reviewing the actual look of the signs? Or are you going, well, just put the signs out?
Just do it.
I mean, there is.
And that's what we're kind of get is because the committee has in the past when we're doing signs and signage, wanted to play a role of what the signs look like and what the signs say. And that's why we're bringing it back. If you've been talking about signage, a number of different occasions, different kinds of signage. This is signage.
Yeah.
It's going out, but do you want to play? Do
I
you want
think-
to play part of the role, or do you want us just to draft signage, get signage, and put it out?
I think if it's a fancy sign, like out at the park or out in front here, we
The
might want to
kiosk.
see it. But if they're just routine, like, here's this walking man pointing to a skate trail, or the stick man for the disc golf, I don't see that
Well, and
we
I
need
think
to
part
be-
of the holdup has been, because when we first, our provisional event permit, you guys, was in September. Okay, and then it went to council in October, and they've asked us, and I feel like some of it is dependent on some things are not permit related, but some things are. And I feel like the things that are related to the permit rules, those things we need to be involved in. But I agree that an arrow pointing in a direction, I don't care what it's on.
So David, what stuff would be more for the office, for you guys in the office to handle and Joe to handle? And what stuff would be better for us to look at?
So I would say of the 12, some of them are things that I think they're going to want to see in the rules. Next one being, for example, hours of park to be posted. Obviously,
Yes.
that'll go into your play rules as well, because you can't obviously play outside of hours of the park. No glow rounds, that's something that would be evenly discussed, and what does that mean as part of your permit?
That
There's
goes along
certain
with
things in
ours.
here, like allow Parks and Rec to sign the course that violators of rules can be banned or fined. I think we need to talk about a little bit more of what that means and what does it take. Because again, just as I've stated many times before, just sticking a sign out means nothing if there's not an ordinance to back it up. You can say banned or fined, but I'll be honest, I haven't even had the chance to confer with the attorney of, is that something we can actually do? Can we ban someone from public property? I'm not so sure. Can we fine them? I'm not so sure. If they aren't, again, what ordinance, what are they breaking?
There are some items I'd like to discuss of that 12, so I didn't mean to interrupt you, but.
No, go, yeah, I was just answering the question. That's one thing we want to hear.
Okay, yeah.
Well, I've got a quick one, is that looking at this date schedule, like bathrooms can't wait until June 13th.
And again, this
Right, I
was just
mean,
a.
yeah.
And
That's
I
what
will
we-
say
I mean,
this
that-
Moving that up to
schedule
today.
That needs to
has
move
been
up.
amended twice because we haven't met.
Right,
Yeah.
but that needs to
Yeah.
be moved up to tonight.
Today,
Because
yep.
we need to get those out there, because that's going to take care of some of the
And
problems
again,
we've
this
been
was
having.
just a draft, an idea. Again, if you had said, nope, we want to hand it all in one meeting, then we'll handle it all in one meeting. So.
Can we
again, that's
work
what we're
on
trying to
things
get.
as long as we can? I feel like we've gotten into a groove of, we know when we're tapped out, but we need to be efficient with our time, or else it's going to take forever to do anything like it has been.
And I will say, this item and the next item do overlap, so I understand that there's
The
gonna be kind of
event and
overlap.
rules both.
A and B, we might be kind of discussing both agenda items simultaneously as we go through this, so. I think Mr. Tost.
Oh,
had
sorry, go.
some
The
comments.
two items I wanted to discuss is that the porta potty that was originally scheduled for hole 10 should go to hole 13. There's one house you can't even see it. It's not surrounded by any houses. The bathroom by hole 10 surrounds, there's like 6 houses around it. And I just don't know why we would want to put it there, where it's more isolated on 13. I realize it's the furthest away from getting to, I understand that, but I just wanted to make that recommendation.
Why wouldn't we put it by the parking lot? Because that's between the 210, that's like.
There's already portable bathrooms at the parking lots.
There is?
Yes, both of them,
Since-
they're seasonal. They're not there all year. They'll probably be out in a week
Oh, they're not out
or
now,
so.
okay.
It's not, 2 weeks ago, there was snow on the ground. It's
So they're going to be out at both of the parking lots?
at the parking lots.
That's okay, isn't it?
This item addresses the north edge of the property. There's 2 trail pieces that come to the east and to the west. The challenge with putting those, because they're about a 20-foot easement, is they need to be accessible to be cleaned. So you can't put them too far in the woods because everything, it's a hose, needs to be sucked out, cleaned out. And as Bill's brought up, the east side has a home on one side It's closer to the course, so it'll probably get used more. The west side, I'd have to break out the measurements, but I believe it's 700 or 800 feet probably from the edge, so you'd incur, more vegetation destruction and just possibly less use because the players may, if it's not visible. And to be fair, the east one would not be super visible. You'd need to direct folks there, and I'd have to look into the capabilities of the bathroom guys, like what's their range? Is it 50 feet? Because we're not going to put it in the right of way. It'd have to be off the edge of the right of way. If we can find a suitable location and people agree to it, I'd also propose like a cedar fence, because it most likely will, it's going to have to be serviceable, so it's going to be somewhat visible. So it's kind of tricky to do it, I think. But I do believe, if there's support to put it on either side, it could be done. As long as you guys get an agreement on a location. I talked to both councilmen and showed them both options, and there's pros and cons to them both. But that would, get a bathroom to the furthest north of the course.
So are you talking about 3 then?
Yes.
Okay.
It'd be an
I did not know we were talking about 3. Okay.
Already one at each parking lot. This
So
will
for
be a
sure-
One at
third.
each parking lot
That's
and then
great.
one on the north. I think part of from what I understand, this recommendation came from is when we did have an issue, a public urination issue. From what I understand, according to when the police responded, as the gentleman said, well, I was over here and the porta potties were way over there. And so the idea was, well, they don't want someone on the north side of the course has to use the bathroom. They got to trug all the way back to they'd rather say, "Here, there's a bathroom
Got
right
it.
here.
Okay.
Use it, don't pee in the woods." So
Daniel, just highlight the north property. It'll illustrate the easements.
right there, zoom in.
Just click on ID the property,
Do we need
In the
a
center.
toilet in the old
the course.
parking lot?
Get on the eye first.
Yeah, because they're playing that course.
That should
And-
highlight the easements.
have it there.
You know,
which-
they're going
there
to
you
play
go.
that course, and then they can clean it from there, and so that'll come in on 1 and 10 from that course.
So-
That'll cover
Yeah.
a lot.
So Daniel just highlighted like where those little skinny stubs.
So this is the easement right here you're talking?
Correct. Yep. That's one option. And then all the way to the other side is
Yeah.
that,
That one right there.
What hole is that?
That'd be, a 13's about right here.
it's to the right more,
Closer to the middle, right about
there.
Okay.
So that's a good visual, because the easement on the east side, pretty much the edge of the course is quite close to it.
What's the terrain there? Is it flat enough to?
I think it can be done. We would try to do just a minimal clearing of brush and things and go around trees. As far as how it addresses, putting them, we do have it like at the beach, it's right off the edge of the road. Yeah,
There's no
Well,
option,
the
no
thing
other
is they're
option there.
porta potties, right? So we can
Correct.
try it at X location if that's okay.
Doesn't work, then move.
And then we go to the other one if it doesn't work, so.
yeah, and
The one that's most desirable for everybody.
you'd want agreement. Feasibility, the east one's gonna be easier. Just, it's less work, but I didn't investigate the west side as closely. The east side was considered more desirable because of the location, the proximity. Kind of after the fact, we looked, the west could be an option, and I could just investigate them both.
Okay.
Thoughts?
There are, unfortunately, either way you go, there are homes on either side that hug the easement. So,
And on the east side, the east easement, the property directly south of it is tax forfeit. At least it was when we did the investigation, whatever, a few months ago, whenever we did it. Yeah, so, that would, if at some point way down the road, you wanted to something more permanent or better, you'd have space, but it's just something to consider.
Can we
Whereas
keep
the
that?
west side does not.
I'd like to sort of bookmark that piece of property and come back to it later. I have something I want to bring to the board or to the committee.
That tax forfeit lot.
I'm just, yeah, thinking about that property.
Marking that.
Or any particular property, but I think this could fit into something that I have in mind, so.
Okay.
Anyway, just bookmark.
So
So can we move, I mean,
do you feel
Bill,
you want more
out-
research?
You know the out there better than any of us sitting here. I think if you feel it should be by 13 and it's accessible for these guys, I mean,
Well-
or at least check it out.
Can't you access it, Joe, from that east entrance and just drive along the property line to get over to 13? I mean, I'm assuming you have to take a trailer down
You
there.
got a vac truck though, so it'd be the company that comes up and backs
You
it.
get a big, okay.
The
It's a,
problem is less about, I think, placing it as much
It's
as a
the
vac truck
cleaning.
getting back there to clean it.
it's
I
a
just thought
one,
you exchanged your whole unit out. I didn't know.
yeah, it's a 1-ton pickup,
Honey
dually,
wagon.
vac tank on it. I think it'd have to stay pretty close to the roadway. I can talk to Joe Osborne tomorrow, just see how long his hose is, because I know they have to some length, but
Yeah.
I don't know the particulars.
Maybe if we could get that information and then be ready.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's no problem.
And we can bring something back and that's the May meeting, so we can get that done, okay?
Yeah.
So.
In the meantime, do the other ones in the parking lots for
Are
sure,
we gonna go
though.
by each item now, or are we gonna turn some stuff over to the staff?
I guess at
and
this
run
point, the
with
way that the committee's discussing, I'd say, is there anything else that the committee wants? I could say, maybe I'll look at it this way, is there anything else the committee wants to discuss? And is that anything if there's not, and then when we get
Yeah.
done with this, you can just.
I do,
turn
but
it
you
over.
go ahead, your hand was up before.
I think there's an urgent need to, since we're open, I mean, people are playing. I've been out there walking and people are playing. We need a temporary sign at least to say, no weapons, dogs on leashes, whatever, no smoking. We need you've got those out there, the little ones, right? Those little no smoking, no alcohol, no smoking. But we probably need,
Well, how long
Just
will
a
it take if we
temporary- I mean,
turn you guys loose? Would it take to get signs out there?
I mean, a kiosk, we're talking about, that's going to take
So,
some time.
I guess again, my concern
The
with the
big
no
kiosk
guns
with the
is
rules.
The
the
lawyer,
ordinance doesn't say no guns.
the lawyer.
No, we
has to
And
can't.
that's a
weigh
very
in.
much a policy statement that I would want the blessing from the council on, and then we have to acquire them. But so, that
That's the
is something, I
difference.
think it's a little different. The no trespassing, those signs, I think that's something that,
Like, I'd like to see those for property owners, just to have that.
yeah, that's
get that
something that
going.
if you want us to turn us
Tell them
loose
to
on that, we
stuff and
can
If it's something they're.
Get it
get
done
quotes,
soon.
get designed, and
Back.
get
It's-
them ordered.
It's too much nitpicking.
So should we start at the top of the list?
I think
and just work our
priorities,
ways-
yeah. We need to prioritize, like,
I
what
don't
do
know
we
which-
really need people to know if they're out there using it right now? And that we want to protect the neighbors.
So we're going to go every line item here? Okay, we'll get to the other one I wanted to talk about
Oh,
then eventually.
go ahead, Bill.
No,
I'm
no,
sorry.
no. We can start at the top. That's fine with me.
So number one would be move T-pad 6. Okay, that's pretty
Yes.
clear. Joe and his team will move
Yes.
T-pad
Yes,
6.
please.
That's done,
A
check.
minimum 50 feet. Okay, so I don't think there's really anything we need input on that one. Any target that is within 75 feet of the current developed property line at the request of the current property owner. Yeah, so pretty much that's a done one as well. That's
It's just gonna be policy.
pretty much the
Okay.
policy that between October, in October, at some point in October, if a property owner asks for that basket close to their property to be removed, it'll be removed and then placed back in May.
My guess is there'll be no one because that's not an issue. The tee boxes are the issue. There's one 3 feet from my property line and just about everybody back there, they're within 40 feet of their property lines. How are you going to move the pads at this point?
Well, and that's what it's saying, yeah, it's not moving the pads, just the target.
Right, but so, to me, that was just something thrown out there to make it look like, well, we're doing something, because that does nothing.
Then next is the basket silencers.
Basket silencers, I think one question we did have on this one is obviously, if the committee wants to go more, I think you always can, and there's that discretion of, they're saying a minimum within 100 feet of 2024 developed property line. I think my recommendation is we just place them on all.
They're not expensive.
Yeah, that's what I was
They're not
gonna
that
say.
expensive. I think
Then we're not-
Joe's looked them up before.
Yeah.
Cheap ones are like $10, expensive ones are like 30.
Let's just
So we're looking like a grand max.
make a motion to buy silencers for all.
Yeah, so that's what
36
our
holes.
recommendation would just be, just do them all. I don't think the council would have a problem with that.
And they take them off in
And
the
Jim
winter,
seconds
is that
it.
right? And they're reusable, or are they on all the time?
Yeah, they're on all the time.
Okay.
So Jim seconded, I made the motion to just buy them
Any
for all.
more discussion?
Okay, so motion, Zierden, seconded by McKellar to put silencers on all.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Um,
Opposed? Done?
Signs, so these are the no trespassing signs, to be placed every 35 feet along property line of any current developed property. We've got those staked, Joe knows where those lines are. So at this point, is there any desire to see a design of the signs, or you just care to get them out there?
Get them out there.
Okay.
Get them out there. If
That's-
staff can just
vote?
go with that.
You know, for
So
somebody
those are
who
already
is a
they're already made up and ready to go?
No, we'd have to order them, but
Well,
done.
could we add something to them, like quiet residential area, or,
That's
you
at the
know,
beginning.
something like that? So what, that could satisfy some
Well,
of
it's
the,
gonna be every,
issues.
like from me
Every
to,
35 feet, that's in a 100-foot lot, you're gonna have 3 of them.
That was my question, is
That's a
do
lot.
the neighbors want that many signs on their property?
They're getting them, it sounds like.
I'm putting up yellow tape and barbed wire up.
do you think it's necessary that,
I'm just kidding
for
about the
those, I
barbed
mean,
wire.
those, the distance of the signs?
gonna have the,
I'm gonna put up a bunch of
335.
signs myself, and whatever these guys put up, so it doesn't, yeah.
But do you
Three-
think 35 feet is
That's
too
my
much?
question. That's a lot of
He wants
signs.
more. He
I'm gonna
wants
I'll buy
more.
my own, but I'll take whatever the city has for my property, but I'm gonna get more. I'm gonna get yellow, I am gonna get yellow
What would you
tape.
like if it said quiet residential area or something like that, or? you know?
Honestly, if I thought it'd make a difference, yes, but it's just not gonna make a difference. I mean, and I'm not saying it's
if
every guy,
People come
everybody,
and ask us for solutions, this is what we can do. That's all we have.
but I'm putting signs up,
we
no
got.
trespassing signs.
part of the thing, they do have it in here that throughout the course, quiet, no, residential zone will
Yeah,
be throughout the course. I don't know if we need it against also on other
Okay.
property.
well, and I don't think we
Okay.
should be changing what a council has chosen for the 35 feet. I mean, we could recommend, but then that's gonna postpone even having those signs out there. I'd rather
It's gonna be
pull some.
approximate. I mean, I'm not measuring
No,
exactly
I get it,
35
but-
feet, and a tree will line up. It's gonna be
Right.
kinda how it goes.
I would just like to see those signs out there so whoever's playing on that course knows that this is where those lines are.
Well, they see a house, they're gonna know it's a residential property, I think.
I was wondering how far on, like at a state park, how far on the state park boundaries, on the edge of the park, I wonder how far apart those signs are.
good
It
question.
varies.
Farther than 35 feet.
I don't think they're 35 feet. I think that they're farther.
Oh, it's
than that.
much more than that. I mean,
But
That's-
did council,
They did.
they're the ones who said that this is what it
it's,
should be?
it's already approved, yeah.
All right, then
They
I
took
think we need to leave it alone.
See, so a
Spend a
lot
lot
of
of
this,
time
we
on
don't
it.
really have anything to do with, some of this stuff.
So what's the timing on
Again,
that?
that's where with this one, it was more of
Please
about
just
the
do
sign
it.
itself. What is it, what it looks like, how big it is. Because also, this doesn't say how big it is.
Okay.
Are we talking,
Legible.
Yeah,
okay,
Private property, no trespassing, very clear.
got it. Speed limit signs will work. I think I'll work with Joe and Chief Sendell on that. Obviously, that'll just have to, part of that is what, we have to follow traffic law and all that on the speed limit signs. Bathrooms, I think we just talked about that. We'll investigate what it would take to put it on the west side, or what the capabilities of the provider are. Place signs encouraging respectful and courteous in residential neighborhood. Start of each 18. And any T-pad within 125 feet of a developed property line, every other hole.
Oh, okay, well, that's good.
it's just about every house in the back of that expansion.
Yeah, so just to clarify, I think at this point, we're pretty much just saying every other hole.
Yeah,
But probably, is probably what we'll actually do, just, that'll cover more than, we'll be over coverage at that point, we'll just do every other.
do we need to make a
The
motion
actual
to,
language, again, I think from talking to Councilmember Maroney, the language doesn't have to be exactly what's in quotes. So if you want, residential quiet zone, please be respectful and courteous, if that's the language you like, you agree with that language, I think it's about purpose and intent. If there's different language, we'll do different language.
I think that looks fine.
I do too.
Yep.
Do we need to make a motion to make a sign, or have Joe get bids
No,
on
I think-
signs? Can
I
we
think
just
we're-
go
As long as
with it?
there's no.
No improvements or suggestions,
No,
really.
okay.
We'll just keep going with it.
Okay,
Rules of play, we're getting to that.
yeah.
I will do more research on the allow the Parks and Rec, talk about rules can be banned and or fined. I guess, is there any feedback on that? Again, I need to do more research, work with the city attorney and figure out if we do that, what kind of language, but I guess it would be helpful, to know from the committee, is this,
Excuse me.
when we say, because the council didn't necessarily clarify, rules of plays, are we talking purely the event permit? Are we talking the city code? Are we talking, what are we talking?
Yes.
What is it that they're violating?
Well, that's what we need to know from you.
Oh, I think,
But we-
what I'm asking for you is it just, if they
It's use of that
violate
park.
the disc golf rules,
Yes.
or is it if they violate the city code? Because it's disc golf rules, city code. Because what if they're not playing disc golf?
How about just park use? Could it be
Yeah.
as general as
Park use.
violating any of the banned items of park use, or?
Well, you have to ask the lawyer if they're
I
actually.
do, but I think part of it for him is the more specific I can be with him of what it is that we're trying to,
I think
we're
that's,
trying to fence this in
Yeah.
so he gives us a more clear answer.
it's going to be impossible, because we talked to Chief Sandell when this opened up, and he said, if you see people drinking, call us, and we'll come down. And so I know we have called, and
they have
people
come
come down, and nothing happens because they don't catch them in the act. And that's the whole problem. I can see something from where at my deck, but, I will witness, but even the police aren't going to come down and throw this guy off. It's just unenforceable. The signs themselves have to put a little fear, and they need to have respect from that person for the rules. And if they don't have it, it isn't going to matter. And that's the core of the problem, is that it's just so hard to enforce all of this.
Should we say you're under electronic surveillance?
I don't-
Strap a fake trail cam out.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, we could put a couple of them on.
But who's,
I've thought about it.
We could actually do it in real life
Part
too,
of this
though.
could be, part of this could be,
Who's gonna go
maybe
check
it's-
the-
maybe it's
I mean-
not
Who's
as
gonna sit
much
there and
as
watch all that?
can be banned or fined in as much, and part of it, maybe the language is more on the lines of, courses regularly patrolled by law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
Or ticketed, maybe ticketed instead of banned and fined, so that there's a $100 fine if they get caught.
or there's a penalty?
I think
Or-
banned and fined,
Invited to
no, but
leave.
ticketed, I like that. And
Penalty.
under surveillance, that sounds really good, yeah.
How can we, as a Parks and Rec committee, designate punishments and rule breaking? I don't understand that.
Again, this
I don't
where-
either.
where
Should
we're
be a
getting back
legal
to is
lawyer
If it's
person.
in the city code and it's a violation of an element in the city code,
So-
then the police department is empowered to issue, the code talks about any violation of the code. They can issue a misdemeanor, up to a misdemeanor violation for a
So should
violation
we
of the code.
use that as our,
Why are we,
So it could be as
as a
simple as
committee?
violations of the city code may result in,
Yeah.
fines.
Can you research what they do at other disc golf places? Because maybe someone else has already invented this wheel.
Well,
Well, what does
we
Cross Lake
have
do? I
pictures
mean,
of
they
all
have-
these kiosks that we got, I don't know, a year ago or more, all these different kiosks with all the rules of all these different disc golf courses around the state. And they have what their rules are, so we could use, those are in our records somewhere, those pictures that had been shown
The
at a
problem
council
is,
meeting.
This public disc golf course is the only course in the state that's in the middle of a residential area. All the others, there's no houses around any of the others in the whole state. I couldn't find one in a 5-state area. This is the only one. So our rules have to be
Well, yeah, we'll take
enforceable and
those as a
strict.
minimum, and then we'll add the other ones. And we've already done with the signs and,
We're
the other
making it
signs that we're
really
putting up.
If it's not enforceable, we need to follow what's enforceable.
I can absolutely look at what do other parks do, and then also I'll confirm with the city attorney what he would recommend as well, and come back next
Yeah,
month.
that sounds
Yes, I
good.
think that's good. I think that's a whole project for next month.
The next 2 items, I think are all just things to be,
That's re-signing.
it's re-signing and just be incorporated into your rules, so the no glow rounds. And then hours to be posted. I can't remember at the top of my head what the original in the rules of play was, but,
Well, that's where I wanted to have a big discussion about it. First of all, the Lake Bryant course that Mr. Mosier described, they close the park in the wintertime. And I think we should close the park down November 1st till April 1st or whatever, so that there isn't people walking back there. And I'll give you 2 good reasons why. I was down there in November walking my dog, and it was slippery out. I almost fell and cracked my skull on a tee box. I've seen guys walk by themselves. Somebody falls and gets injured. I mean, somebody could get, just from a safety issue, somebody could get injured down there. Second reason is a reason why real golf courses don't allow people on the courses in the wintertime or when the grass is frozen or when there's frost. It kills the grass. We've spent thousands of dollars planting grass down there. Right now down there, there's a lot of areas that grass has been wore away just to protect the investment of what the city has put down there. Especially since we're in a residential area, I don't see what's wrong with closing this down for the winter months, for God's sake.
What about sledding?
Well, that's at a different part. That sliding hill was over by the parking lot. There were no
And
houses around there.
snowshoeing, and we have that on the agenda for later, so we can get into that then. Is that all right?
That's fine, but I also want to, I think the hours, I don't think a round should start after 6:30.
Right.
And I think that should go to 5:30, September 1st on.
And are these, what I was wondering about the times is, are these beginning and ending times, or are we not?
Yeah, well, they start at 6:30, it's going to take them till 8 o'clock at least to get done.
so.
Right.
As I understand from what the council gave, these are hours of the park.
Right.
Now, if you want hours for disc golf to be different and put that into your rules, I think you can't, I think you're empowered to do that.
On the tournament, we did 8 to 8 on the tournament event form. But yeah, this is the park, and
They
I
need to be
walk,
off by 8, not starting around.
Right,
Yes.
right.
closed,
7:59.
open and closed, yeah.
So, and I think we need to just be very articulate or explicit in that. So if it could be possibly enforceable, I don't know.
Yeah, if it's, again, park hours, 8 AM to 9 PM, Memorial Day through Labor Day, 8 to 8, all their dates. If there's someone on the course prior to that or after, in between those times, between 8P and 8A, and they get there's a complaint, the police will remove them. The course isn't open.
Or the park,
Well, yeah, the park,
even
when the
for
park's not
walking,
open.
for hiking,
Right,
yeah.
park. Park's not
If
open.
you put rules that say no disc golf, I would say when it comes to disc golf, I wouldn't do started, only because there's no way for the police to determine
The
when they
ending.
started.
Did they start?
Some people play really fast, some people play really slow. So it would be no golf can be played after this time. So if you come and if you say no golf after 7 PM, no disc golf after 7 PM, well, if someone shows up at 6:30, well, you get a half an hour disc golf.
I do like just keeping it as the park because it is a multi-use space. And then it's just blanket for any activity out there.
Right.
I think I'm good with that.
And then
Anybody else?
Oh, like I said. And I think last one, law enforcement. Obviously, Chief Sindel and I have been in discussions about this, and obviously, whenever there's a permit, once the event permit is done, and if a event is permitted, obviously they would know. In the past tournaments that have been out there, they've been aware. They've made their presence known at those tournaments, and they would continue to do so. When it comes to patrolling, Chief Sandell, they're committed to touring and doing it as much as they can. Again, we are a small department, so I think, he's not saying that there's gonna be a certain amount of hours or at a specific times, because a lot depends on availability of officers, how many officers we have on, things like that. But they'll be out there as much as they can, especially on the weekends. I will say one of the things we budgeted this year's budget, I think that'll also be helpful, is for extra patrols on the weekends, specifically the idea of, we call them golf cart patrols, really park and golf cart patrols, so that in addition to the regularly scheduled officers, there'll be extra shifts that an officer, whether our normal officers or a part-time officer, can pick up, and specifically to be in the side-by-side doing park patrols and doing golf cart patrols. So,
Okay.
and this is gonna be kind of, again, the first year we're doing this, so it's kind of a trial of, we put some money in to do at least a shift a weekend, see how that goes, and then we'll evaluate and then look at, see if we want to expand that in any way into the future. Okay, so those are the directive items. The rest of the items where the Parks Committee can also discuss this as at their leisure. So I don't know if anything, I guess I would recommend at this point coming back to these, because these get into things like whole sponsorship, which is a long conversation.
Aren't we going to keep working on the permit?
And that's what I was
That's
gonna
next
say,
on the
my
agenda.
recommendation
On
was
the
now is,
agenda.
let's
shift.
transition
Okay.
into the permit again, so we can get that rolling, as
So this
the
is next.
season is essentially here.
My only other question, I guess, on this list is the trash cans,
Yeah.
because I think that obviously the sooner the better. And
So where are the trash cans currently?
About every third hole, I think.
Yeah.
We started with 18, approximately 18. We had a few get crushed, and now we've tried to evenly divide them between two courses.
Is it,
Do you need more? Do you need more? Yeah.
can it be every other hole, like it's listed?
I think
here?
2
Could
were
be 5.
stolen. Number 13's gone, and there was another one. 13's gone for sure.
They're in rough shape. They were donated, the resort donated them, old ones. Bottoms were
Sounds like Bob.
starting to rust out, but they were serviceable. I mean, we've got several years out of them. Let me look.
Can we make a motion to purchase enough to have them at every other hole?
That's what I was going to ask.
We can do that.
Second.
It was all business.
I'm a second kind of guy.
So discussion, I mean, do you know approximately what the cost is?
So I'm looking up right
Okay.
now. I wanted to say,
That's a good one.
right around $100.
And we need what, like 6 more?
They were
18
already
cans.
closing the parking lot.
We,
So you got 36 holes, you need 18 cans. And I think the intention would be replace the ones we have.
All of them?
That's
I
what
think
my
they'd look
recommendation
nice
would
if
be,
we
would
had-
be replace the ones we have, just so then they're
Yeah.
all
So can we get
conditioned.
1,800 bucks?
How big
have
are
that?
those? Are those like 18 gallon?
They're small. They're small.
9 gallon cans?
9 gallon, 95 to 76. I mean, so yeah, $2,000 to get 18 of them. Probably shipping and all that jazz.
Okay.
so it's seconded, and no more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we got that one done.
Are they like, I'm sorry, they're like, you can chain them, or people can't walk away with them?
Well, they're cemented in, aren't they?
They're meant to be picked up.
Oh, you
They
got
have
it.
a spike on the bottom, because when you're collecting trash out there, that's why their size is smaller. So, the cost of running, 30-some bags at 50 cents a piece, you empty them when they're half or a quarter full. I mean, it doesn't sound like much, but trash bags, they add up a lot, especially. These are they're screened, so you drive by, you have one large bag, dump it in, and then set it back.
Sure,
So the cans themselves don't have bags in them.
okay.
So also when it rains, they don't gather water.
Like here, a little different, it's more congested. I mean, the trash production is kind of concentrated, whereas out there, you know, if you're on your second or third hole, it's more convenient. I mean, most golf courses, I believe, would have them at every tee pad or every other, generally. I don't know. Megan would know.
Usually Deacon's, it's like every 3 or 4.
Okay.
Another item I just think is important is renumbering the courses. And there was going to be a path put in between the two. To me, that seems like we would like to get that done.
I don't know, Joe, what was your plan on that again? You're just gonna rough in, like bush hog in that trail, essentially?
Yeah, the biggest question would be, like, I have my thoughts, kind of the most obvious choice. I want to say it's from 2 to, it'll go from a tee pad to a tee pad, kind of in the shortest path. We have several spots figured out. That can be done. It's just,
I guess a question on that, is that something you would like to see, kind of the design before it's done? Or would you rather just give Joe and his guys just to do it?
To me, I think
They
they know what they're doing. And you know how to run it's going to work with disc golf. So I think you guys could just do that, but I think it should be done
Does that
pretty
involve
quickly.
moving signage for numbers or anything? Because I know we have
Top of the
pads
basket.
that are also,
well, that.
or
would,
rocks and,
Yes, that would be a complicating, where the direction doesn't address, like, the old course, distance, name, that stuff's on the rocks. You change holes, they're all obsolete.
So-
Then it would be, an opportunity, I've seen places where they have those 4x4 things, stuff like that.
but do we do that maybe when we're doing
That could be done in.
sponsorship or other things?
Other
Yeah,
signage.
In the meantime, we could stencil the new hole.
Maybe make the
orders,
paths.
Distance, on the new holes. The rubber probably is not gonna hold up that great. Maybe a season or something. I think we initially did it the first year. So if we have to do it twice, that's not a big deal. A couple cans of spray paint and an hour or two.
On the pads
Just the
themselves, I
stencils.
guess my recommendation would be, it's just some forms and some concrete. I can't remember, Joe, what'd you say on the new course, each pad ran you? It's like, what'd you say, 4 bags of Quikrete or something, or?
Half a cubic yard. I mean, we have a bucket that transports concrete by skid steers, and it actually worked out like one full bucket did it. Cost-wise, like when the rubber needs to be replaced, that's more expensive actually than concrete.
And so I guess where I'm getting my recommendation would actually be maybe that's a 2025 project with everything that's already that needs to be done. Is Reed would be looking at maybe putting the budget to have those pads replaced with the concrete pads in 25.
But but you're saying that we could spray paint them and do the
Renumber and
changing it
stencil.
this
We
year?
could easily renumber.
Okay.
I would say, I'm trying to think of, I think we use 9 yards of concrete, it's usually about $170, $180 a yard to do the 18. So that gives you a cost to do the old course. And then the other part would be the signage for distance and that stuff. I think that's what you'd want to wait on, because that could be.
Yeah, can we just get the direction of the traffic flow going the right way, and then we can keep improving that?
Stencil things in and,
Yeah.
we can do that.
Do you think we should have a workshop on the disc golf course? I mean, I think that's a topic that all these items, we could
To see them in front of us would make it a lot more.
get into more
yeah.
detail, look at kiosk signs with rules, sit down and do that on a separate basis from the meeting. Does anyone think that's a good idea?
Yeah, May is,
I'm sorry, clarify, the workshop would be on what?
On this all these items and
Oh,
the kiosk, the signing on,
The items we are.
yeah,
discussed
just
today.
getting into
Okay.
just this at one meeting and not all the other stuff.
Okay, just the stuff we haven't, the decision, anything that decision hasn't been made on tonight.
Yeah.
Got it.
What do we have to get done tonight, though, David?
I think at this
think we
point,
kinda did
I
it.
think we're pretty in a good shape. I think we've got direction on pretty much, especially the first 12. I think
right.
we're good.
So now we're on the permit.
So now I'd say
Yes.
at this point, I think we're ready to move
gotta
to the
move.
permit.
Okay. So should we address maybe a workshop date at the end?
Maybe,
want?
let's,
Okay.
What stuff at the bottom actually has to do with us? We are not going to, us sitting here are not going to close the Legacy parking lot. That's someone else is going to do it. We just
Well, I
say,
think
do it
the
or
council
don't
would be
do it.
looking for a recommendation of what do you want to do with the Legacy parking lot? Do you actually want to close it? Do you want to use it for something else? I think that's I think from what I
Oh,
understand.
they're looking at an alternative use for it or something?
Yeah, what is is it staying as a parking lot? Are we closing it? Is it becoming something else? That, from what I have been told, I understand is that's kind of actually the purpose of that item is what's the future of that parking lot?
Is that a
Okay.
Parks and Rec,
Oh, it's changed.
or is
I
that
think
a
council-
maintenance or council, somebody?
yeah, what
I
would
think
work for you
council's looking
guys?
for a recommendation from you. What do you want it to
As a
become?
park, okay.
Do you want to keep it as a parking lot? Do you want to close it as a parking lot? If you're closing it, is it just going to become a maintenance lot?
They wouldn't even know, I mean, that we'd have to ask Joe, he'd have to be starting to think about
Well, I
that.
want
Well,
to,
getting back to if you talk about what else needs to be discussed, well, that needs
That's
to be
why
discussed.
we're
Yeah.
going down another rabbit hole here, and we have a lot of things to cover, so that's why I
not
think we
something
should
that needs
just
to be
do this
addressed
as,
tonight.
Yeah, we don't need to.
doesn't mean we have to have a 5-hour
Renumbering
workshop,
has
but
to
we could
happen.
just concentrate on
then
that.
we don't have to close or open anything.
Yeah,
Point the signage directing traffic to the Legacy parking lot will be removed. As soon as our signs get in for the new direction, the county will remove I think they'll let us remove them without charging us, and then they'll put our new ones in.
only one.
So we have a lot of time, it's no emergency to talk about that parking lot.
Correct.
Correct, I mean,
Take
traffic's not
signs
gonna
off
be
and we're done.
directed there. I did plan on moving the kiosk that is there over at some point. That'll kind of be,
Because that's going to be home base for both
Yeah.
courses. Yeah.
that's
Thank you.
concreted in, it'll be kind of, we'll get to it
Okay.
this year.
All right. Permit?
So if we're moving over to the permit, I guess I'll hand this over to Assistant Minister Ike. Ultimately, I'll just give the background really quick. So we had the permit. So again, history. When the council back in June of '23 said the expansion was moving forward, the standing direction is no tournaments until a permit is in place, which still stands. Assistant Minister Ike worked on a permit. We brought it before the council in August. Council gave us some feedback. We brought it back in September. Council said send it to Parks. We brought it to you in September. You made some changes, brought it back to the council in October, discussed it, and then tabled it without any direction. And then back at was it October meeting or the November meeting? November?
I think it was the October meeting. It was a while ago.
We have it right here, October
Yeah, I think it
12th.
was
If I look at his memo, asked for it back.
We did, yeah.
And then again, on January 2nd, the council officially gave it back to you. So, now I guess I'll give it back to you.
Yeah, so,
Bless you.
oh, sorry, said bless you. Yeah, at this point, you guys asked for it back to review it again. It's kind of the same thing as the master plan at this point. Whatever changes you guys want me to implement, just let me know and I'll implement them. And I can either bring it back to you guys to review the changes I made again, or you can recommend changes to me and I can take it directly to council. Really, it's 100% up to whatever you guys want to do. There's really nothing from staff's perspective at this point that we can do unless you guys want to give us direction on how you'd like to move forward, so.
I think we just have been wanting to get it back in our hands so we can make, because this was very provisional. Remember, we didn't even agree with each other on all of these things, but we decided council's going to still give us feedback, so let's just move along.
Can I possibly say something since I was involved in this in the beginning? I just have one thing that maybe you should think about when you're looking at the.
Ms. Loughlin, could you use the mic, please?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, it's okay.
Sandy Loglin, Ranchette Drive. I was working on the permit with Gail to pass out, so we
Yep.
had somewhere to
Is that
start.
this?
Yeah.
Yes, that was the
Okay.
feedback.
And it was just to have some place to start when, instead of just throwing it out there. But one thing I thought about after doing it was that whatever amount of events you allow, is it 3, is it, whatever you allow. The disc golf club usually does their events all in January. The beginning of the year, they plan their events for the year.
Oh,
So what does that do for other people who might want to have an event here? They could just take up all those events in one shot. So, like, I was just thinking, it might be an event that a convention wants to do. They have 40 people and at the resort and they want to do that, but there's no event permits anymore. And that's all I wanted to say about it.
It's a good thought.
The first thing we thought is who, the attaching of a detailed site plan. I mean, I don't think that's necessary.
So can we number the paragraphs here? Is that what's paragraph 1
Yeah.
right here, the please?
Right.
And then it starts payment, that's 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then course 1, that's the third one.
that's 1, 2, 3. I'm going to label here.
4.
I guess I would like to see this thing, I know, sorry. I'd like to see it become basically a one-pager.
Like a format, like just a
Front and
simple
back.
format instead
Simple
of boxed
format.
in with all these date, time things. I mean, we just wanted it to be like a simple, like you said, one page.
And I don't know if this is where this comes in, but I don't think that they should have the ability to rent out both courses. I think we are a public entity, not at the same time.
Well, what I understand, because I've never been to one, but they have them on the holes ready to go on both courses, and then they switch so they can get everybody into play and be out.
I would be sad if
And yeah,
a family showed up
Can
that
do that
doesn't
on-
live in the neighborhood, doesn't know of the event, and would like to use it. It's our taxpayer monies that, I don't know, and I can be outruled, but I just,
What would happen if someone rented both pavilions for a giant family reunion and someone showed up with their little basket and 3 kids?
yeah, that happens.
Do they?
There's other tables.
What happens to them?
I mean, we're talking about
Where are other?
I don't know.
3 days.
Well, and I think we should maybe drop down to also 2 tournaments a year. I don't know.
No, we're talking one event or tournament a month, so that
Not even.
if, like, what you guys are talking about, if someone wants to have a family reunion, and play disc golf down there and rent the whole thing out, that would count as that month's event, and no disc golf club could rent it out for that month again. Is that right? That's what we're talking about? Okay. Yeah. For example, the Brainerd Disc Golf Club has already got 3 reserved dates to play on our golf course. I mean, how many people show up for that? I don't know. Do the Breezy Point people play with them? That put it over 40, I would assume. But they already have the dates down.
I don't play, so it's just a question. When they sign up, do they sign up for 36 holes or do they sign up for 18?
I have no idea.
I don't either,
The
so
first one's 5:22. They have Brainerd Disc has it reserved on a Wednesday night.
36 holes is a
I
lot.
don't know if it's 36. It just says that's on their tournament schedule that they're going to. Then the other ones.
And I've seen too, golf courses, like, if they have a 36-hole tournament, I'm sorry, but they can replay 18 as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
I mean, to keep one public, I don't know if that,
I sort of
Yeah.
agree with Megan because, I mean, a golf tournament, pro or whatever, is 18 holes. You do a shotgun start, everybody gets done, right? It starts at one time and ends at, everybody's done at the same time. So if we leave one course open for the public use and then strictly off that 18-hole course for that tournament, I think that's fair for everybody concerned. And it leaves the public to be able to use the park.
So
I
you-
think since none of us are experts at this, it would be nice to ask somebody what they do or what they think. Not a lot of people have two side-by-side courses, so it might not even be a problem. They may be doing one
So
one day and
part
one
of
the other.
this, it's what do you want?
Yeah,
And the users will use what you determine that they
yeah,
use.
what, they have to
So
follow
if
the
you wanna
rules
have-
we
if you
set.
again, they only have up until, last year, until technically they haven't played both, they only had one, and they were holding tournaments with one.
right.
Yes.
Yep.
So if they only have 18 holes to play with,
Then that's
And
what
they
they'll
could
play
That's what
with.
they
they
have to
could
play with.
replay it.
And
as
they
well.
can choose the course they want to reserve. It's
be.
not restricted to one or
Right.
the
Pick
other.
one or the other, and the other one's public.
Can you clarify for me? It says tournament event. So if I have, me and my 40 cousins want to use the golf course one day, that's an event, and that shuts down. So we could have 3 of us could plan to bring our 40 cousins during the summer, and no one else can have an event then? Not the
For that
resort,
month
not
or
this
yeah.
golf club, not the people who may be hole sponsors. Those people would be like, too bad, my birthday party and my cousins are going to be here.
so
That just
again,
doesn't
to
seem
clarify,
right.
this is for exclusive
That's why I'm
use.
thinking
So if
just
someone
one
wants
course or the
If
other.
someone comes over here, reserves the pavilions or the community room for a family reunion, and says, hey, anyone that wants to go play disc golf, we're gonna do a family disc golf tournament at 1 o'clock, and we're gonna go to the disc golf and just play, they can.
They don't have to
So
have
this is about
an event
this is
for-
about
permit for
exclusive
that.
use. We're not saying that 20 people can't naturally show up. It's just that if you show up and there's other people on the course, you can't kick them off.
So an event that would require that you'd want that closed off to others.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
this is about exclusive
That's-
use.
And then you have to pay.
Yeah.
And we had talked about, is this just for disc golf association tournaments, maybe? Or is this for everybody, or do we have a different one? If there's a smaller group?
Like sanctioned tournaments or whatever they call it?
Yeah, this is just, this is pretty much, we're basing this off of what the Disc Golf Association does at other courses and, what the other courses require of them. But does that apply to everyone then if it's 40 cousins?
Well, that's what we're saying.
Yeah.
One event a month, that this is in use
Exclusive.
exclusively, then it's free game, the rest of the, people can just show up and play. That's what we're talking about.
Well, we were actually saying in here only two, how many tournaments? Two two-day tournaments and two one-day tournaments. That's only 4 for the months that they're open, May, June, July.
No, that's a whole month's worth of weekends that course is tied up then. One of the courses is tied up.
Season or per month?
Well, per season, because we only played to,
Right.
through the summer months, so there's only 6 months. So we weren't even doing one a month.
Right.
It's way less than that, but maybe we'd let
Is it-
public smaller groups do stuff, but this is more for the Disc Golf Association.
is,
Big group
right.
people who are going to pay.
And they have to abide by whatever.
This is what they do at other courses. This is really not for all of the public to use, and I don't think they're going to, I would be shocked if any 40 cousins were coming to do it and pay and close down the course. I don't foresee that happening, but it could, so that's why we're doing this. But this is mostly to cover us for the tournaments we've already been having at the other course and what they do at other courses.
This,
That's kind of,
once this is implemented, we can readdress it if we
Yeah.
see something, right?
yeah.
We just today say, okay, we all agree 18 holes once a month, whatever. And then as the year goes on and we see that there's somebody from Breezy Point that wants to have a business like we discussed earlier, Sandy said, and we find that we're having more of those people approach us, we can always go back and readdress.
Oh, yeah, you can always, throughout
So,
this.
I don't wanna-
If there's something that's not in the permit that comes up and you're like, ooh, we should address that.
Then we
always
can
go
address
back
it.
And revise the
So I
permit.
think we should just all, whatever, but I just think that we need to get this thing moving, so we should
finish it.
all kind of agree with basic thing, get something out
So
there,
again, we were looking at this permit,
get
just
it
to
used.
clarify.
And this says the city council is the final approval entity. So they're going to approve each tournament that gets approved, that gets applied for.
So they could make an exception
They
for
could.
something?
Someone could
If it
come in
was a
and say at
big
open forum, we'd like to,
charity
yeah.
So, yeah, rather than try to think of everything, we
Yeah,
should
every
just kind
scenario,
of get
yeah.
something simple down
This is-
that everybody can agree on and then
Yeah.
push it to the, because the season is upon us. I mean,
So, getting back to the Brainerd Disc Golf Club, they're going to play May 5/22. What if they have over 40 people and they didn't fill out a permit? We send them, nope, you can't use it? I think we need to be very clear then, if an outside group is using this, they need to fill this out. If they don't have 40, okay, but at least we know who's down there. I mean, they made these, did they touch base with any of you folks about taking down the golf course on 5/22, 7/31, and 8/28? I mean,
Nope, they haven't contacted us about anything.
that's why I think it's important to get something out here, and then if they don't comply, then that's the rule.
Now, league going
that
through
a-
is a whole nother thing. League going through is 25, 30 people, whatever. That's not a tournament.
That's not a
They're just
tournament,
playing league.
Well, and that's where.
well, if it's over 40, it counts. That's what it says.
According to this, that if it's over 40, then they
Yeah,
have to
that
get a
was the number
permit,
we
and if-
came up with.
And if a permit's already been acquired for that month, the answer is no. Per this, if, again, let me talk a little bit about process. So if someone comes in and says, I have an event, we're gonna be out there, we're gonna have 40 people, or X amount of people, whether it's myself, Daniel, Deb, we're gonna say, okay, here's the permit, here are the rules. And if they say, we're gonna be out there we'd like to be out there on June 15th, but someone's already has something all ready for June, we're just gonna say, well, actually, no, that's not even
That's
possible.
not happening.
That's not possible. I'm not even gonna accept the permit, the application form.
Which is
Because
kind of what
it's-
Sandy was saying,
Yes,
though,
because it's
too.
already booked. It's the same thing of if someone comes and books this room or the pavilions, and there's already a date, Deb just says, well, sorry, someone's already got it.
Right.
So paragraph 3, we were recommending changing it to X amount of 2-day tournaments, like we put in suggestion of 2 2-day tournaments and 2 1-day tournaments. We just said tournaments, 1 per month on the other one. There are 2-day tournaments where people travel from other states and whatnot, and they come here and do 2-day tournaments. So when we talk
Want
to some people who
articulate
actually
what
do
that is,
these
or can
disc
we
golf
just
things.
say one reservation a month?
That's 6 weekends
Whether-
then over the summer that are booked up with people down there.
Yeah, so currently, 6 months, whether it's a weekend or weekday. This does say it's limited to 2 consecutive days, so it does allow you to have 2 consecutive days. You just can't have more.
So do we want to leave it as is then, or shorten it up to this?
I'd rather have just 1 2-day tournament and they can have 2 1-day tournaments and see how it goes this first year.
That's fine by me.
Yeah, pretty much like she said, or whoever.
What you have written here,
They're already done. I mean, they're already done signing up for their tournaments because they did it in January, so we're not, they could come in and make some changes, but they've already booked out because that's when they make their plans, so that wouldn't be bad for the first year, but
So just again, as a point of clarification, so as Daniel's revising this, what you're saying is, max, so we're still saying use requested via this application is limited to 2 consecutive days, but you're also saying only one person can ever have in the season, one person can have
Oh,
a
it's
2-day.
getting complicated.
Everyone else only gets 1 day.
Right.
I honestly don't care if it was a 2-day. Sorry, if one of the
tournaments per month.
if one of the
If it's one a month,
Courses,
so
yeah,
one in
one a
January,
month.
one in June, one in July, and one in August. If 2 are 2 days, what you're saying, then one would be one.
And then, but also that one still has public use and one has the exclusive.
Right.
And maybe, do we choose that tournaments are only on the front 18, or the legacy, or what, the original, because it's not as close to many houses? I don't know. I'm just trying to think outside what we have constrained here.
What
I
if
think
they
that
wanna
just
have a-
totally blows the whole thing about the new course, because that's what everyone's excited about.
Yeah, I say we
actually
let them
disc
choose,
golf.
as long as they only get to use one.
What if they want to use both, but they don't mind if other people sort of play through?
But that's not
That won't
fair to
happen to
those
the
don't know, do
people.
they
You
do
can't do
that?
that when they pay for,
Right.
they're not going to, no.
Not if they're paying.
Do we need to say how many one-day tournaments, how many, are we overcomplicating this? Can we just get the ball rolling with one a month?
One a month, yeah.
Yeah.
Could be 2 or 1.
So leave
But
it the
I-
way
but
it
I-
is.
Not
Basically-
3 2-day tournaments.
No.
So leave it the way it
Just-
is
'cause-
in here,
The
and maybe
way-
add only one course,
Yeah,
Per
we need
day.
to change it.
only use of one course per day.
So that, I guess that's a different question, is if they do a 2-day tournament, are they limited to the same course for both days?
I don't
or
know why they
can
couldn't,
They
they
could
could
flip.
flip.
Flop,
they
but
could
they
flip.
need one day on one and
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yes.
so we would just add to
as
that.
long as
then.
one is available to public.
Do as which course.
And they do have to
Choose
tell
which
us
course.
which course, which day,
Yes.
because
Yes.
Correct.
we're going to sign it as such.
Yes.
Correct.
So if
Yes.
you do the original on the first day.
Yeah, this is open to public.
You
This,
have to use the original.
Yep.
Agreed.
Only one course per day.
Okay, so can someone describe to me exactly what I'm changing here?
so
You would
we're
just,
going to leave it at the one event per month.
Okay, which is in paragraph 3, their course events.
And
are
it
limited to
doesn't
1
matter if it was we're not going to get into the technicalities if it's a 1-day or a 2-day. We're just,
So
it's an
that's
event.
paragraph 2. Do you want me to delete that?
No, just keep it as it is.
Yeah,
Change nothing?
it's fine.
Yeah, they get up
and
to
then
2 days.
someplace we just need to add that that they use one
Either or.
only use of
Other-
one course,
per day.
So
Per
where
day.
it says location for the event under A,
Yeah.
couldn't that be like a checkbox?
Choose-
Which course do you want?
First
Just
or second.
whatever we name it,
Yeah.
which is later. That gets a check, or you're gonna, legacy or
Yep.
the new course. And they check which box that they're gonna use.
And they can't, and it would be choose one. You have to choose.
You don't get to choose.
Okay, so what we're recommending then is this up here, all this yellow stays the same. This isn't
Yes.
changing. We're
Correct.
talking about adding a box under A here that's like a, which course do you plan to use box?
Well, it already says location for events, so now we just
Oh.
need to give them a choice in that location.
Just add a slash here and make it one, just add 2 boxes and make it
under
one course
A.
versus the other?
Under A.
like course
Oh, yeah.
X,
For
course
Day
Y.
1, day 2,
Yeah, day one,
you gotta have both,
Okay.
both days.
or maybe date and then which
Change
course.
courses.
Okay.
if
Well,
it's
that's
a
why all
2-day.
these little boxes up above that, set
Could
up for
we
the
have it
date, event
marked?
time and breakdown, I don't think those are necessary. We would just want the course, the date, the course, which course and what date.
Yeah, because it's assuming set up and tear down, everything has to be done on that day.
Okay,
I
so
would
I'm-
assume, yeah.
I'm removing these boxes then.
Mm-hmm.
I'm expanding this box to.
Say course X, Y,
not
whatever
removing,
we
I'm
decide.
combining these 4 boxes essentially. And
Yeah.
I'm moving them into one date and then 2 check boxes that are like this course, this course.
And I would say
And
maybe,
which date for
maybe
each
have
course.
I can work.
2
with that.
spots
Okay.
for dates. And then,
I can work with that.
yeah.
Day 1, day 2, course A, course
And maybe they're just
Correct.
doing day one.
Yep,
Simple.
3, 4, 5, 6.
So,
I've got the gist, Daniel.
3 through 6. Yeah, I'm just reading it.
speaking of the time, is it like they have it exclusively from the designated 8 to 9 or 8 to 8, or do
I think
they?
it's based on what they request. I guess that's up to you, actually, I guess that's up to the committee. Is this, they submit this permit and they get
I would
the
say,
entire day, or is it based off of what they tell us they
Well,
want.
it can be as long as they want it within the parameters of when it's open.
Needs to, yeah.
Can't decide they're gonna start it at 6
7.
AM.
So then
I'm saying
the
it's-
time is irrelevant.
The
then.
The
following,
permit already says 8 to 8.
Yeah.
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 So I guess
So-
what we're getting at is, by submitting this permit and getting it approved, you know, they might say, well, we only plan to have it for 4 hours, but
Which would be
are,
great.
are we giving, is it, okay, but you're getting 12?
Well, no, because then you could just
12
post it and just say, there's a tournament going on between 8 and noon.
And they pay the
on
same fee, no matter.
Regardless, yeah.
So then we still need something that says, like, hours of event or time desired.
Hours of event would be great. I don't think it needs to be that.
Yeah, we're only charging $100, so there shouldn't be
Yeah.
any problem, but.
They could just
They were
put,
saying, from what they were saying, they would, be on the tee boxes ready to go, and they'd be done probably by 6 at the latest with cleaning up and everything.
What if they only need a half a day for course 1 and a half a day for course 2? Could they switch after lunchtime?
It's too
That's too
complicated.
I wouldn't
complicated.
recommend that just
No.
from a,
Too
from
We're just
a
gonna do
signage
one
and
course a day.
enforcement perspective. I would not recommend that.
And I guess even, I think even just taking the time right off of there, that is for theirs. They know they have to be done between 8 to 8.
They want to get off, go to
And
dinner and
do
talk
we
about
need
their
to
game. They're not
ask
going to
them
want to
when
be
they're
out there
leaving?
12 hours.
Maybe it would help for patrolling.
Well, and I think the difference here is, we're kind of planning for tournaments. But this isn't just, again, from my understanding, not purely a tournament permit. It's the, corporate outing. If some company, Cargill decided to have their corporate retreat at the Breezy Point Resort and wanted to have a 4-hour, they're going to take one afternoon and do a tournament. So they're saying, well, we want it from noon to 5.
I don't care. They're paying 8, it's between 8 to 8. It's theirs for the day.
Well, and that's what I'm getting at.
So do we need
Yeah.
that
If someone
time?
does this, are we signing it? This group has this all day?
I would say just leave
Automatically
them
all
have it.
day?
I don't think
Or is
so.
it
No, I
for
mean, if
the
they're gonna
only
tell
period
us-
that they request? Because it does matter. Because my concern is, they do it 8 to 8, we say 8 to 8, I just want to make it clear. They're only out there from noon to 5, and someone goes, well, no one's out there.
Well, then the parking lot becomes a big party. Is what happens more than likely. The parking lot, people congregate and they start having beers and that type of thing.
And I think part of it, again, is I see the questions from the public of, well, no one is here.
But it's
Can I
also
play
an
the course or
enforcement
not?
piece too. It would let the police
That's
know.
what I'm seeing is,
Well,
if we
the
give them
same thing
8
when you
to,
rent the pavilions, you don't rent it for the whole day. If you want to start your barbecue at 3, you rent it
Right.
from 3 on.
well, that's what I'm getting at, is I'm trying to clarify, because I keep hearing different things. It's, they're getting it all day, whether they use it for an hour or 8, or is it,
That's my
they
opinion.
need to list what hours they're gonna use it.
They need a list. That's a really good point.
list, because then we know when they're
Reserve it for their
accountable for it.
hours.
It'd probably be helpful for police too,
Sorry,
for
yeah,
patrolling. So they're not going out there at 8 AM to check on them and.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And like regular golf tournaments,
Yeah.
as soon as that tournament's over, other people go out and start using the course.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think, what are we, 5 hours maybe? I don't know how long it takes to play disc golf.
Well, and that's what I'm getting at, is I guess what my
Okay.
concern would be is if we just gave them the blanket 12 hours, again, if someone's intention, well, we're not getting out there till noon, then we have someone that goes out there at 10 and goes,
get it.
well, no one's out here, can I play it or not?
But there's another course that's going to be open to play. If they were planning on having using both courses, that's one thing. But now if they're going to have to play all their people on one course in a day, it probably will take them the whole day then.
Right.
It could. So you just assume it will, and when they're done, and people,
Well,
if
that's
they
what I'm
show
getting at,
up,
is
they can.
let them decide.
Doesn't
do they
hurt
want
to
it
It'd
all
be
list
nice
day
if on the permit
or
they
only
would
for a
write
few
down,
hours?
when is your estimated start and finish time?
Yeah.
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 Then we know.
So are you saying, yes, other people could play at 8 o'clock till 11 if
Yeah.
if this deal is not starting
Because
till
we
noon?
should know on the
That's- and
permit
that's the
when
same
they're
thing we do with
planning.
the pavilions. If someone's not using, they reserved it from noon to 4, well, anyone can do it before
Right.
noon and
Right.
after 4.
Yeah,
Right.
like, I'm
Makes
sorry I
sense.
opened that can of worms, but one more thing maybe. During tournaments, there could be maybe a sign, another sign, I know, but
This is a reserve.
tournament in progress. When the tournament's over, the last person comes off, the sign comes down, and then it's open. I don't know if that's,
You could ask.
you know, because the normal guy that wants to, can I play, doesn't know what they put on this timesheet.
But it will have to be posted somewhere
No,
out
we'll
there,
post it.
the hours of the
And
tournament.
then once it's over,
They post
that
the
needs to
pavilions.
get
Yeah.
If you
removed.
reserve a pavilion,
Yeah,
when you
there's
come,
a sign
there,
Okay.
that says
is there.
reserved.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
That to let people know that they can do
Right.
whatever they want with it because the course is done, you know.
Yeah,
Yes.
when
Yep.
I rented the pavilion, got there at 3 o'clock, the sign was there, reserved for 3, there was nobody there, and when we left at 5, we pulled the name
That's
sign out,
perfect.
and it
You
was.
could
That's
even
perfect,
date
that's all
it,
I'm
so it
saying.
could be, let's say it's on a Saturday and people aren't working.
Yeah, it
You
was
could post
dated.
it on Friday
Yeah.
and just say on Saturday, these are the
That's
hours.
generally what we do.
Perfect.
If someone reserves a pavilion on a Saturday, the public works guys normally post it on Friday afternoon
Okay.
before
Oh,
they leave.
usually, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's all I wanted to
Okay.
say.
Okay, so let's just start at the beginning of this box, and let's just go through it. Name of business organization? Okay, right, isn't that first box?
Yeah.
Group, I don't
And then we have organization producing the event in the last box of that first box section. Do we need both?
I think we could get rid of that bottom one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either, you know, I think either or. I think we want to know who's
I
running the
want to
tournament.
know at the top who's
running
doing
the
it.
tournament. You know, so that's it. The name of the event, I mean, whatever. Do we
Does
care?
it matter
Do we
what
care?
the name is?
No.
We just need to know who's paying.
If they put a name on the event, we put it on the posting.
Yeah, so it might say,
Oh,
I think it's okay.
Okay.
and they can leave it blank.
And you've already decided that you're taking, we've already discussed
The
this
date and times.
date and time stuff. We don't even need to go over that.
And setup and all that, we're taking that down. Location, we're going to have course X and Y, and the date.
Yeah,
Yep,
talk about that.
that's all part.
Number of attendees, yes. Number of vendors. Okay, vendors, do we need this in here?
I think we need to take vendors out, to be honest. Like, don't vendors have to have a permit within the city to be able to even have?
They have, like, if going down to E, like, will food be served? They technically would have to have
Yeah.
a catering license, which again is not, we don't do the catering license.
Like, I feel like it's over.
The state, the thing, Department of Health
Complicated.
issues catering licenses. So they need a catering license. I guess the question is, do you want to allow, like, do you want to know about, is it about knowing about the vendors you don't care about, or is it no vendors?
I mean, where would they be, in the parking lot?
That's what that second parking lot can be.
I guess I
Under
don't
the
see this
current-
being like a circus of
If they're in and out.
Food could, I mean,
do
Under
we
the
really
current
need-
a
setup,
food
they-
truck.
A vendor could be anywhere.
Like maybe a
essentially.
food truck would pull in or something, right?
That's why we have the site plan. So I mean, if they provided a site plan with a vendor and they
Or
plopped
do you
it
just say
somewhere on the
vendors
course.
are limited to the parking lot?
Parking lot.
They're
And
not setting up a table.
they have to get their proper licensing or they could be ticketed
It
as
says
well.
right there,
I mean,
applicants are responsible for obtaining necessary permits, temporary otherwise, from
Okay.
associated state, city. Pretty much we're saying, you're on your own. If you don't get a catering license and the state comes out, it's on you.
Sure.
Okay, so let's go back then to,
A, are we
A.
done with A?
yeah, I think we're done with A.
So am I removing vendors from A?
You want to go through that?
Well, I guess, that's, I think, where we kind of went back down to E is, I guess the question, we do need to ask the question, are we allowing vendors or not? If we are allowing vendors, then it probably should stay at A. E, if we
Get
aren't
rid-
allowing vendors,
Can
you
we,
remove
can it just be in E under
Yeah, why do we need
vendors?
to have
Why do
it
we
on
need it in
A
A?
and E?
Just move it to E.
All to E.
Okay.
Move it all to E? Okay.
And then we've got the name of the applicant, which is the name of the business and organization.
Not
No?
necessarily.
No,
Okay.
it could be
So
the
in this
person.
it would be
This
like,
might be
who's
the-
actual,
Like a representative.
who is the
Yes.
contact person?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, I think
Well, maybe
that's-
we should change the wording on that. Instead of
that's
name
confusing.
applicant, to change it to contact person. Because that way, name of the applicant is already up at the top, the business, or organization.
Yeah.
And then the contact person would be,
The person filling this out.
or you could put name of
This is kind of
applicants.
similar how we do it like on our permits, like, zoning, like a name of business organization, it'd be like, Boy Scouts of America. Name of applicant is like the troop, like the actual person who's responsible for the event.
I would say contact or person responsible or the head of
Event
the
organizer.
Yeah.
event organizer, sure.
Applicant or contact person.
Oh, my God.
I guess we were getting, yeah.
Okay, business address.
That just be their address then, not their business address?
Yeah.
Because if we're asking for one person's name, then we want their address. We don't want their business address necessarily.
Well, if they're representing a business, they might not want to give you their home address. They want to
Well,
give you their
if you
office
just
I think we
put
could just say
address,
address and
address. Okay.
they choose which one they're going to use.
So did we change it to event organizer?
It's still name
Is
of
that a name?
applicant. It's
I
okay.
think
that's
name
fine.
Applicants, that's standard.
Do we really need a fax number?
Okay, well, it works.
So purpose of event, so. do
Hold on
we-
just one second. Do we really need a fax number?
No.
Thank you.
Well, we might need it to get a proof of insurance.
Yeah, there might,
We don't have a fax machine.
Right, I was
We don't
gonna
even
say,
have fax
what-
machines. They get
We don't have
sent,
a fax machine.
I
they
still
get
have
sent
one.
through
I will say
phones
that
these
we-
days.
Bill,
I'll
you're
say that
aging
if
yourself.
We don't have a fax.
We won't be faxing or
Usually
receiving
it's
faxes.
emailed anymore. It's scanned and emailed.
Scan it and attach it,
And
so.
it's in a PDF, we send it through our phone.
Yep.
So do we need purpose of event?
I guess I would think the council would maybe want to know, like, what,
Okay.
why are they doing this? It's just a
Alright.
tournament, or is this a company thing or a family thing? I think
Just for tracking purposes, it
Yeah.
might be
Okay.
helpful.
maybe that doesn't need to have a description as well. I don't know.
I think just that would be enough, probably.
If it's a permit for golf, then kind of know what the event is.
So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Daniel, I think C again, was that tracking piece, because a lot of the comments we received or we heard during all these discussions the last number of months of like, we want to know why people are out there, like in that box, admission prices, donations, we want to know if people are charging and what they're charging. So C was really just for like
Right.
collection of data. So,
Like-
a
Well,
year, 2
couldn't
years
it
from
just
now,
be
we
a
kinda
description?
we can understand like what they're doing.
Well, obviously, the purpose is to, play disc golf.
So we just say
Couldn't we
description
just
of
say
event?
description of event, because then they could say, this is a club tournament or whatever. I think we could take out purpose of event, that's
Yeah,
what I would
Maybe get
do.
it down to one page then.
Yeah, and I think just give it a little space. We can contact them if we
Add an
need more.
addendum if you have to write a paragraph about it.
Actually, what I would recommend doing there, if we're gonna make C smaller, I can just take the purpose of event, description of event, whatever, and just like, I can just put it under like A.
Yeah,
I can just,
Yeah,
that's easy to
that's a
shift.
good
I
idea.
can just
Yeah.
pop
makes
that
sense.
under A.
Yep,
Yep, then it's not its own thing.
yeah.
Parking? Do we
Will
address
off-site parking be provided?
Are they
I mean-
gonna park where they can park in the parking lot?
So,
So this goes back to, there was conversations well since my time here, which is about 2 years now. It's been a pretty consistent conversation about people parking on the streets. And people concerned about who's parking where, when, and who's in charge and that kind of stuff. So that was the impetus to that. That was also part of the impetus to the original idea of the site plan as well.
so that's why we built the parking lot so big, so it could hold the people for the tournament. But they're supposed to fill this out, and so they're supposed to be getting off-site parking and then telling us where it is?
Yep. If they're gonna provide off-site parking. If they think.
Do
that,
we want them-
It's our group and we can all fit in the parking lot. Again, there is, on-street parking is currently allowed, so we can't
Yeah.
prohibit people from parking on the street.
Okay.
Unless you prohibit it as part of the permit. Again, how.
Could we make a comment in here, like, parking is limited, please carpool, or some, I don't know, like,
That's what I was thinking, like maybe park at City Hall on the weekend,
Although.
Overflow
we're-
parking, commute from City Hall, if you have overflow from the parking lot, we could
Unless my
suggest
birthday
parking,
and
but not
family
ask them if
reunion
they're
is
going to be
out here.
providing off-site
We
parking.
need the parking.
Yeah, I don't know, should we even have a,
This is also something, again, the council will
Parking
approve these, that the
piece.
council during their review can go, okay, you're gonna have 180 participants. Like,
There's only 40, a limit of 40.
no, 40 is your minimum. If you hit
Minimum to
40, you have
pay
to have a permit.
to
Maximum is
180.
Because it could be, yeah, we have 180, but, you know,
They're
we
not all
rented a
driving.
coach bus to come up
Yeah.
here, and we're just
Right.
using the coach bus.
Right.
Then we don't have a problem, parking problem.
At the resort and they.
How many spots does our lot hold?
about 50, I think,
It,
organized.
Again, because
About
because
50?
it's
Okay.
unpaved and not striped.
180 is a lot.
If it
really
were
depends on
striped and
how people
everything.
park.
Yeah,
They told us 65 spots, I thought,
I
last
think
year.
if it's like, if you have someone parking vehicles and
I
they're
think,
not,
though,
and they're
they
not
moved
all
that one
long
part
bed,
out,
1-ton
and it
trucks,
cuts some
Yeah.
of them off.
you could probably get up
Yeah.
to 60. If
50
again, if
to
they're being
65,
If
okay.
they're being organized.
Just as an
right.
I
idea.
think the
Should we
the
just make a
buffer got
note?
moved out and it lopped off some of them, so I want to say it's pretty dang close to that 50 if it were striped,
Mm-hmm.
if everyone perfectly went to where they need to. That is a conversation I
If
had
they're
with Joe.
smart, they'll have somebody there telling people, park here and then make another row
well, some
here.
people will finish and leave, and then other people will come. You know, it's a rotation. They're
could be
not
a
all
sim-
going to be there, you know.
It could be, again, we could just simplify, not to get in the
I
weeds.
think we need to.
Do you have a parking plan?
Yes.
And then if
Yes.
yes,
Yeah,
what is your
let's
parking
do that.
plan? So that way the council at least has something to review and they can be like, yeah, that's not sufficient.
Good idea.
Or maybe they haven't thought of one and they need to.
Yeah.
They can
Well,
come.
they said I saw the roster for a couple tournaments, there was like 90 people, and these guys all say a lot of them carpool, so I don't think parking's even going to be an issue.
I don't either. So let's just do that. Do you have a parking plan? Or do you need guidance, or we give them guidance on what to do?
If yes,
You know, we either tell them
please
what to
let
do
us
or we ask them of what their plan is. You know, we have a 50, they know what our lot is now. Okay, then, do we need to provide the location and site plan then?
It doesn't matter to us where they're.
We're not
I was
doing
gonna
all.
actually recommend towards the end, depending upon the other stuff you do here, we might just want to get rid of the site plan because it
Yeah.
seems kind of that's where you're going. But
Okay.
let's go through the rest of it first and address that maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes from now.
So, what do we decide? Food and beverages, we just want to cut this
Limited
down?
to parking lot only? I mean, do we need to say that?
So I guess on this, the question
Will there be
is,
food
do you-
vendors?
do
We
you-
could leave that on.
Do you care if they say yes? First, I guess, on this, I guess there's a couple of things. Do you care if they say yes or no?
No.
No.
Or is this more of, again, a blanket statement of vendors must be contained
In the parking.
to the parking lot? They can't be in the right of way, so they can't be in the road. They have to be contained in the parking lot, and they are responsible for obtaining any necessary permits, temporary otherwise.
So we cut all this
More of a
first, all the
statement
stuff
Could-
on E,
well,
except
could
for
we
leave the
still
dark
ask-
parts, the highlighted ones, and add vendors limited to the parking lot.
Could we ask, just like we did,
On
do you have a parking plan, yes or no? Could we say, do you plan to have vendors, yes or no?
Yep.
Because I think that would add to, and then,
Just a recommendation, would you like me to just take this estimated number of vendors from like A, pop it down here, get rid of all this other stuff, and then just
Yes.
please limit, update this lack language here, kind of keep it, but additionally add, hey, keep it into the parking lot?
Yes.
right?
I think
Yeah.
we already have the,
That's the good language there with
we already
the
have it in there that it's
responsible.
yeah, we already have there. Okay.
Event organizer
update
must
that. I can
certify
just
that,
shift it
must stay within that bold.
Okay.
Just an aside, these guys, when they were presenting all this, said that they were going to spend $50 down here at one of these merchants here to eat every time that they played. So they're bringing vendors in now.
Well, they eat before and after. This is just during the tournament. If they do, we don't even know if they are or not. So we're just saying
is
if they
just-
do, we want them to be filling out all the permits and that we're limiting them to the parking lot on what road?
White Overlook.
Overlook?
So do you have a plan to have vendors and then just because I think the cops should know that too.
Yeah,
So they could know if they need to be checking licenses or whatever.
Then you can take this one at the bottom out and just ask what type. That would cover if they're selling, I don't know.
I don't even know if
discs or-
we need
We'll do-
to.
Well, they might be selling discs or whatever else they sell there.
Their T-shirts
I don't know,
or,
wanna know
do you
if
really
it's food
care?
or-
I guess the
or
question
I
is,
don't
do you
care.
really
No.
care what
why do
type?
we care?
and take
We
one
don't, unless we're going to get a cut off it, we don't.
Yep.
okay, wait a minute. The trash, taking of trash, they're supposed to like bring a thing and take their trash out with them? Empty the trash cans?
We're asking them to police their trash.
So originally, the event cleanup sanitation stuff did have some stuff like that, but we ended up removing that last time we talked. Now it's just to make sure you put your trash in the trash can.
Okay.
And like the
Appropriate.
black text is just specifying, hey, the city council might order you to do more than that. If it's a lot of people or the city council feels that there's going to be a lot of trash generated, they may, as the city council, as
Okay.
the authoritative body, deem that you
Fine.
will do something.
So we're just taking G out, is that correct?
Well, is it just getting merged with
Yes,
E? and
I think so.
simplifying?
Yeah, I don't think you need G.
Yeah, I was going to say, if given everything else that we've removed, I don't think G's
We
necessary.
even have needed a sales tax number.
Okay, so, okay, we're moving on to H.
That's insurance.
These are things we wanted, well, as staff, we
Yeah.
recommend keeping in here. Again, part of this is just, this is general, like you're holding an event, you are taking all liability. So if someone
Right.
trips and twists their ankle, don't come in here because you accepted liability for whatever might
waiver.
happen during your event.
Exactly. I coached traveling basketball teams for 15 years, and we had to sign off on something. I used to bring binder every single tournament.
Yeah.
Kid runs into a wall, or chairs in the wrong place. Yeah, for sure, we got to have that.
And I just, devil's advocate here, this is approved by a lawyer? I mean, just signing this and somebody said, took it,
The
sued
official
us.
document.
And we said, yeah, but you signed this,
This
and a
is
lawyer
pretty
does.
standard language.
If we have a binder, we're covered. If there's
Just
a,
want to make sure that
Yeah, this
it's
is
not
very
just something
standard
to
language
say.
in here.
Okay,
Why was the application certification part yellows?
That
that
was
just a
something that-
highlight?
No, everything that's in here that's yellow is actually stuff that was added in the previous round
yes.
that you guys
Okay.
did.
We
You
did-
were the ones who expanded this, and then the council
Yep.
also expanded
Got
it
it.
even more.
Thank you for the
So that's why it's
jog,
yellow.
memory jog.
Would this be a
Well,
spot
we-
in the top to say, that would be, besides the city does not permit alcohol, tobacco, or cannabis, would that be a spot then if we find out we can say, you know, we don't permit guns on, or weapons on park property or something like that?
But that's not in our ordinance.
But that's what he's gonna find out.
No, he knows it's
What
not
we
in
could
our
say.
ordinance.
Can we
He-
say
he-
anything about it?
Carriers
Right
can
now,
carry.
I'll be honest, right now, I would not, I currently, the way our ordinance is currently written and such, I would not recommend touching firearms.
Okay.
It's one of those
He
things,
read it
you are
to
just
us.
opening yourself, I think we open ourselves up to challenge on that, personally. Before we put that in there, I'd want to talk to the attorney of, okay, here's the concern. They would like to say, you know, no firearms. How do we phrase that? Can we do that? Do you recommend we do that? How do we phrase it? How is it enforced?
Or I would say weapons, but
You know,
I don't
again,
think
wouldn't
it
just be
belongs
firearms, It
now.
would be weapons, and I think that's something before we stuck that in there. If you want it stuck in there pending attorney recommendation, we can stick it in there. The question I guess would have is, I can confer with the attorney, do you want this to come pending on what he says, it come back to you, or if he says don't do it,
Goes
just
away.
yank it?
Well, I'd say put it in pending. If he says no go, take it out.
but you know, I took a carry class, and if a merchant has a no guns allowed sign, they told us you can't bring your gun in, so you got to go back to your car and lock it up. That's what the class I took, that's what we were told.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, we currently don't have a Currently, the ordinance says if you have a permit, you may carry.
But if we put a sign up there that just says no guns allowed, you know, I'm assuming most people have taken this class, I've heard the same thing I've heard. Most people aren't going to carry, if they do have a gun, they're not going to bring it on the
Most are
course.
respectful of it, and they're not
I
going
sure
to.
am. I know, I don't
am
carry hardly
too.
ever anyway, but you know, I would be.
I guess then I would recommend is then putting it in here again as they're confirming, and part of that is there's almost like
Just
a
our
secondary
rules.
recommendation request of the council to ban weapons and weapons on park property.
Absolutely, that's just what I was going to say. Do we have to make a motion for
It's
that?
currently not a ban, so I'd say you want it in here, and then we'd say, and then on top of that,
Let's,
because again, you've already talked about it a couple times now.
Recommend
We're
a-
recommending that the council ban weapons on park
Change
property.
the ordinance for parks. Yes, I love to do that. Do we have to do a formal motion for
I would
that?
say have a formal motion, because then we can say this is a formal request coming from the Parks Committee.
Well, okay, reword it and then we'll vote on it.
Me?
like to formally
Request
request the
that
city council
pass an ordinance to ban guns in all city
Weapons.
parks.
Weapons.
Weapons.
Guns or weapons? I
And
think-
property, city parks and property. You don't want somebody walking in here with a
Right.
hand pistol.
Yeah, 'cause right
Yeah.
now, they can walk in here too.
Right.
City parks and property.
Okay.
Did
So then-
that come across?
I'll second that.
Aye.
Okay, no more discussion? Aye?
I
Aye.
All unanimous, yay. Okay, so we will add that into their checklist.
That's it.
And my only question is, okay, what's the process for this permit?
So the
Who gets it at the front desk?
Yep, so it'll be generally whoever's here. We all kind of are cross-trained on this, so I think default will probably be an Assistant Administrator Ike if he's here. Otherwise, myself, Deb, we'll train Peter, we'll train Jeanette on how to receive these in, just like we do for any other facility reservation. It then goes on the next available city council agenda. Again, in here, it does already say you need to give us, is it 2 weeks?
Yes.
Yeah, 2 weeks, because we gotta get in a packet. So, it's the same, and that's normal with any, like a planning commission, there's a deadline, and if you don't get us your CUP application for that deadline, you're not on the next planning commission
Right,
meeting.
too late.
Sorry. So, they get it in within 2 weeks, then it goes on the next, we'll review it to make sure everything is there, the necessary information is there, and it'll go on the next city council agenda for review and approval.
Okay, so then once the city council approves it for somebody, then what happens and who does what? Because it's got to be put on the
Yep, so we have
calendar.
internally, we have a calendar.
Yep,
And then that's normally managed by Deb. And then, before the day before the event, she produces the signage, gives it to Public Works, and Public Works goes out there and puts it out.
Post-
but I mean, first she has to post it on the website, once council approves it, that
So I
the
guess that's the
tournament
question.
is
So
already,
Currently, facility rentals, we don't post to the website.
If a
you want-
tournament-
I guess that's a
public
clarification
notice.
point, is if you want,
Public
that's actually
no-
nowhere in this permit, I guess, in this process, we've ever
Or any
discussed
permit.
public noticing that of an event, so.
I
again,
think
like-
that's private. I think that's a privacy
but the
thing.
city,
think
the
to-
people need to know that you
notice an
can't
event,
come onto the
that's not
golf course,
privacy.
though,
To-
that it's
to be-
closed. It's
to
a
be
public,
Naming who the.
Half of it.
Naming who the participants are would be different, but I'm saying just to say, disc golf course.
reserve.
Permitted disc golf course event this day.
On,
this course.
Statute 13.548.
yes.
Yeah, if you're
I'm just thinking we
listing
got to
the
be
event,
careful.
Perfectly fine. If you're just saying,
Unless if their name is, I don't know.
yeah, we wouldn't, again, we're
No,
not
I would
gonna-
just say
we wouldn't-
listing
we-
that the golf course is closed from 8 to 8 for a,
Yeah, and that's what I'm clarifying is, again,
Yeah.
we post that generally like the day before the event. If you're wanting it on the city calendar, I guess that's the point, I guess has never been discussed before, is the expectation that it's going on the city calendar.
I mean, do you guys do that for your pavilions?
No.
Then I don't think it should be done out there.
I think that was part, I guess, that comes down
then how
to
do the
web
residents
comment.
know when there's something?
They see it.
How do the residents know?
We'll see it. There'll be cars, we'll know.
Years.
But I mean, if you want advance notice and you don't want to have,
Yeah,
you know,
if you
something.
just put on there that the golf, Golf course 1 will be closed
looks at
on,
the website?
August 1st from noon to
It's not a
5.
big deal to put it on the
I
city,
think it should
on
be.
the city calendar.
I think it should
That's
be
what it's
on
kind
there.
of clarifies there that expectation. If there is, then we'll do it.
And then who tells the police, so they're ready for those dates? So there has to be a chain of,
Yeah, it's again, that's all internal.
okay.
So is there a motion?
I make a motion that we put,
Be
The-
published on the website?
once the council approves a tournament, it's published on the website and given to the police department.
Is there a second to that motion?
Anyone second?
I'll second.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
It's 5-1, okay.
All right, are we moving on?
Okay, so just clarification. So I've got pretty clear direction here on what we're changing. How would you, as a body, like to proceed? Would you like me to implement these changes and bring them back for you to review again? Would you prefer that I simply implement the changes to the best of my abilities? You're authorizing me to just put it back
Do it.
before the city council and
Yes.
call it good?
Yes.
that one-
Don't bring it back to us.
Could you send it to us once you've done and just give us we can just look it over?
I mean, I'm fine doing that, but just understand if you review it and I send it to you, you can't make any further changes unless you meet again.
Just
And
send
talk
it
about
to us as a courtesy copy.
Yeah,
Okay, if it's a
Forward it
courtesy copy,
on.
that's what I
fine.
mean, yep,
But
just so,
just clarifying what he's saying is if anyone says, I want this changed, the
Right.
Yeah, we
Well,
can't do that.
we're going to have a workshop, what, on the 25th, is it, open house? We could all look at it then, and it still could make the next council meeting if
Right.
everybody who wanted to,
yeah.
it's up to you, I don't really care, you do what you have to do,
But
Mr.
they'll
Atkins.
make changes too, possibly.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
this is
I'd
all
like to
up
just
the
get it
council.
in their
This is all-
hands.
Then it'll
as soon
come
as
back to us
possible.
again, and then, we just need to know where it ends up, so we're aware of what the
Interest of time, I say you just move forward.
Give it to them,
Give it
the
to the
council.
council.
Yep,
One
The only
other-
other additional thing I've heard is try to limit it to like a 2-pager. So
Yeah.
I'll try to squeeze it down so that it gets in.
One other
2
more
pages.
process question I guess I have for you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want it back?
No. I think that's been part of our problem of,
Or is
from
this a kind of a
September.
council?
I just want the final
Council,
back,
this is our
so
best
that
and
it can go in
greatest.
our
Take it or
packet,
Change as you
you
want.
know?
Well,
Our
and-
master
and-
plan packet, so we know where we're at.
Understanding that we're feeling like we need to use this year, and in the future, if we need to make changes, then we bring that back.
Not written in
But we're
stone.
Yeah.
we're ready to go with this, so.
And I
So
think
what
we
I'm getting at is
simplified it
when-
enough.
When I bring this, when we bring this to the council on May 6th, is kind of, again, we just want to communicate, council, the committee is,
these
you know,
are,
they've done what you've asked. If you have any changes, they're just asking you to just implement the changes and.
Yes,
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 because it'll come back.
They
to
don't
us
want it
and-
back.
yes, we don't want, yep.
a little bit
Wanna make sure
less
we have-
formal.
Do we have consensus on that?
Yes.
I don't know, Mr. Toth, do you?
As long as the gun issue's settled, yeah.
Okay.
And can we, give us whatever they approve. That's all I want to know, in the end.
Yeah.
Just what is,
Done?
okay.
Yeah, we could either, we don't need to worry about that now, we can talk about it
Right.
later, or we could either present it to you at a meeting if you want to chat about it, or I could just email it to everybody at that point. It's, once the city council approves it, it is,
It's
Right.
It's-
Yep.
done
it is
deal.
approved.
Yep.
You can-
Until we
can
bring it up
back and
again.
show it to you if you like, it's all the same.
Well, if there's problems after the first year or
Right.
so, we'll tweak
We'll
it.
change it.
Unless it's something's not working, then we relook
Do
at
it
it.
sooner if we
Yes.
need to, bring it back.
Okay. I think we're good then.
Okay,
All right. Who wants to take it from here?
Okay, looks like we're on to,
master plan?
Yep,
So, yeah, this is the addition of the master plan with the edits. You guys went through it page by page last time and gave me a whole bunch. All the edits are highlighted in the thing there. I was just kind of wanted to put it before you, see if you wanted any further changes or what you wanted to do with it. Assuming that you're okay with approving it tonight, my plan was hopefully with your blessing, we will need a motion on this, but with your blessing was to schedule an open house for Thursday, April 25th. from 5 to 7 p.m. And then we'll take comments from the public. And then I will kind of work those comments to kind of improve it however I see fit. We'll take that back to you on May 9th for final approval. You guys will say, yes, send to council. No, Dan, take it back. Don't send it to council. If you say, yes, send it to council, it goes before them on June 3rd for final approval. That's kind of what we were imagining here. I wanted to know if you guys were okay with that, or if you wanted to slow down, or if you wanted to change other things, or it's really up to you guys at this
You know,
point.
it's an issue I've talked about before. 60 pages, 31 pages, community centers listed or talked about. Why? Why is it even under our purview? I don't understand why the Park and Rec Committee has no authority whatsoever that we're having any say at all about a community center.
I think it's our funds, it's our money that we've been setting aside. That's, I think, why it ended up
See,
just under our hat.
I heard
under
4 or
our
5 years
umbrella.
ago, they threw it down to Park and Rec because they didn't want to touch it again.
No.
That's what I heard.
No,
No.
you heard wrong.
I just, on that, I'm not going to necessarily comment on Mr. Topp's comment. One of the things I will say, I do want to just throw out there quickly, that I am recommending, there's one change I am recommending in that page, and I'm speaking pages of the packet, so not necessarily of the master plan, but pages 54 through 58 be removed. Those are the site plans.
Yeah.
And the reason being that they are no longer valid. Based off of the direction the council has taken on City Hall, those site plans are no longer valid. So I am recommending that pages 54 through 58 of the packet, those site plans, those 4 pages do be removed.
Do you need a motion for that? I'll make that motion then if you do.
I would actually just, I guess, I don't know if you want to make a motion specifically on that, or I guess I'd wait if there's any other changes.
Any other changes?
And then we just do one.
I'd like to see that whole feasibility study removed. Community center, this whole thing should be removed, in my opinion, because it's not valid.
Well, it was done, it happened, and we paid for it. So it has to be kind of a tracking thing. I mean, we're not moving on anything.
The council can't even decide about it. They're going to have an open house on it themselves concerning this. It just keeps, I mean,
But
It's
it did
history.
occur.
It happened, so we did it,
have
and
that. And you saw the list of how many people participated.
I saw you were on the list. I saw you on the list. You know what percentage of households in a city have to sign up to make, you know, what's the percentage, do you know?
I do not know the
It's
percentage.
8 to 10% of households. And Mr. Chansky provided me with some census data. We have, according to that, it's 966. I jacked it up to 100 or 1,000 households. 8 to 10% of that will sign up. If we just build a gym in a fitness center, it's going to cost $450,000 to maintain that in a year.
It's not
Is somebody
us to
going to pay
make those
$300 a month to be a member?
okay.
We're not
this
making the
is not-
decisions on that.
This is not what we're
But
talking
we
about.
are just,
Well,
we
we're-
have put money to the side, but maybe it would be used for something else. But it has been earmarked by previous councils and previous committees to just
Part of the
set it
history.
And-
aside.
As well as public meetings, at comprehensive plans, at many other
Yes.
meetings, it's been talked about and come up as a desired thing, but maybe not by you and your neighbors, but there are a lot of people.
Chocolate, we might be
who-
running
who
low
come
on
up
I don't think
with
we
energy
need
right
to
now.
debate it,
Pass
you
it on.
guys.
At least
I
interest.
There you go.
think we need to move
And that's what
along.
this is to
Yep.
carry.
I don't disagree with you, Diane. I think people, the way that survey was worded, do you support a community center? I think a lot of people would say affirmative until they realize the cost associated with that. Every community center put up in the last 3 decades loses 30 to 80% a year. They cannot make their budgets. I mean, it's a fact.
But we're not talking about that right now, Bill.
We don't
And
need to
we've heard
include it then, but why
you-
include
we've
it?
heard you
Nobody's
over
told
and
me a
over.
reason why we're
Because
including
we
this.
paid for it,
do
and
you mean
it's
we paid for
history,
it?
and it
What do you
was
mean
a
we paid
survey.
for it?
We've
The
put money
city paid
aside
for the
earmarked for that.
survey. So,
So we got 8 million set
It's history.
somewhere earmarked for this? I mean, is that what I'm hearing?
No, thank you. Do you want some?
No, thank you.
So,
do we need to vote on this then?
On what?
I vote that we keep everything in but pages 54 to 58. And I also think we need to add, when we do get the final drawing for the new redesigned City Hall,
When that is approved.
right, when it's approved, that needs to go into our master plan packet, because
Just the,
things will occur like we should be
The actual
thinking about.
design.
Yeah. I think it will also, now that we know that that's been approved, it'll change maybe
Well, I do have concern
Some of our
about what it's going to impact our parks.
Yeah,
And like,
that's what I mean.
not that I don't do or don't want a city hall, that's not up to me. But how is that going to impact our campus here?
Yes.
And what's the vision, just so when we do plan things, where is our garden maybe going to be able to go? Where is,
Right.
So we do have a site plan of the remodel and expansion.
but is that the set thing? Council has approved to go
That's
with that
designing-
option,
you're Designing that, it's not gonna
It's not moving
change
from
that,
there.
changing from that. That's
Can
what
I,
we,
can
but
I
they
ask
haven't
just a-
approved paying for it and, I mean,
so what they're directed
Dan-
is that we are in, they have directed Woodseth, they accepted the proposal from Woodseth, they are doing construction, document, and design. So the next time it comes before council, they will have a bid,
Cost
a
estimate.
construction bid from High Tech Construction, and they will decide
okay.
build or no build. And so what the construction documents that are being designed is that
Based on
site
that.
plan,
Okay.
that plan.
That's what I was gonna ask, is the request to put those bids and construction documents
No.
in the
No.
Parks and Rec
No,
master
just-
plan? Because that,
Just a simple site map, and then, so we can figure out what we want to do around where the new building is going to be.
Okay, so the guess which would be, so I'm just trying to understand fully what the motion is, would be to remove 54 through 58 and replace it with a site plan of,
What has been approved?
yeah. Yeah, well, I will say this, as to be clear, it's not final,
Right.
Well, and is it going to be a moving target?
pending-
Like if something did have to be
Continue
changed, do
to-
we want to add it yet at this point? Or
I
do
guess-
we
I
want to
guess
wait
my
till we have a
recommendation
community
would not-
center?
Would not,
Wait until.
would be not included.
Once it's constructed?
I guess it's one of those things, I guess I personally don't think it needs to be in the master plan at all.
Well, if we want to plan for a park and maybe doing,
You don't
say,
need a map of the site.
Does it need
the
to be in
master-
our master plan or do we use that as a tool when we make
Yeah,
decisions?
it's kind of a
Yes.
tool you do as you look at the CAP or actually look
Right.
at implementing it. That's when you, okay, what do we have?
yeah,
It needs to be in the master plan itself.
I will clarify, this time we will actually have the plans for City Hall. Of course, right now, we don't have the
We're
plans
not
for
there
City
yet,
Hall really
yeah.
because they're just not available, but
Some more.
Yeah.
yeah, we'll be able to provide them if they are, like if you need them for something or you want to request them.
okay. So we'll hold on that.
So that could be something we could put part of an agenda packet.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you get to a point where you're talking
Where we need
about
it.
doing improvements or community garden or other things in this site, then yeah, we can pull that out and be like, here's the map of this
Right.
site, and this is where City Hall sits, and this is where everything else sits. But I don't think it needs to be in the master plan.
Okay.
so the master plan also has committee members, chairs, ex officios. We no longer have ex officios or liaisons, so we probably want to change that on page
That's a good catch,
29?
thank you, actually.
29.
Okay. On the membership page here, okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, because we'll change that to the membership of the committee that sent it to council for approval.
Okay.
I want my name taken off that. I don't want my name on it. Please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, I don't know. Is that right, though? Because you're a committee member, you're
you need to
inputting
be-
on
I
a
don't
lot of
care.
other
I'm
things
so
in here.
against this community center. I don't want my name, anybody thinking I had something positive to push this through. I just don't.
You have inputted on all other items in here, though, so you can't just be a ghost. You could, I mean, I don't think that's right.
And there's a voting.
And why are you on the committee? If you don't want to vote, or if you don't want to do, and be
I wonder that myself sometimes, especially with you, the chairman now, but we're going to move forward.
wow, thanks, Bill.
You bet.
Maybe reconsider then.
I think that this is kind of the road that sometimes I see council going down, and we don't need to go there. We are each in a representative spot. Whether I get voted out like I did on something or not, that's on record,
Right.
and that's part of a committee member.
That's right.
And we incorporated all his mentions in here.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You're part of this. You can't just not have your name on this.
Right.
else we'll take some of those things out.
All right, just put it in the minutes that I vehemently voted against this. Mr. Eck, please. Thank you.
The
As
community
long as-
center.
Okay, I'm gonna just, as long as you're comfortable with that, Mr. Toft. I will say, if you really don't want your name in it, I am not entirely comfortable putting your name in it.
Leave my name in it.
Okay, you just want it included in the minutes that you
Yes.
requested?
Yes, so we haven't voted yet, but that I,
Understood.
okay.
Make it in the minutes.
That's fair. Then there's a trail there. And your position is
Clear.
known. Yes. Is there anything else anybody else had in the,
So I guess we're
Make a
looking
motion
here,
with the
So I guess
amendment?
we're looking kind of for two motions. Motion to move forward with this version
With the amendments.
with the amendment, so removing, I guess right now, the only amendments I've heard is 50 pages, removing
Yeah.
pages 54 to 58.
And
And I think-
revising,
the-
updating the
Updating
committee
the committee
member.
member list, so those two things. And then next step being sending it to a open house for review, for the
Yes.
public to
And
come
then
look.
council after that.
And then, so I guess,
After the open.
are we good on the date?
are we, yes,
And
I guess
time.
that's the question for the open house. Daniel, what was it that you were recommending?
April 25th, Thursday, April 25th, from 5 PM to 7 PM.
2 weeks from today.
So I have another meeting until about 5:30 that day, but I would come after that at district office for school.
And I will clarify, it's an open house, so you don't
True.
necessarily all
That's
need to
true.
be here. My plan was to kind of, assuming, to do
Well-
something similar like we did with,
And I guess that's the question I guess we'll ask about the open house. What do you want this open house to be?
Yeah, can we all be there?
Yes.
Okay.
Is this open house a come and talk about ask questions? Or is this open house a formal presentation on the plan? And if it's a formal presentation, who's presenting, doing the presentation?
Where would people access this if they wanted to preview it before coming in for the open house?
So we'll put this in Daniel, I guess I'll let you talk to your process.
So my plan was, assuming that we do the April 25th open house, I was going to create a news page for it on the front screen there. If you go to the city website, you'll see like on the left side, I always have like
Right.
a rolling tab of news there. This was going to get just kind of put under there. I was going to describe what it is. It'll be dated. It'll say master plan, all that stuff. The document will be provided on that page. I'll post it to Facebook next door. It'll go out to subscribers. I'll probably actually pin it to the top of the page too, so that it's a red bar at the
It
top.
hangs up there.
Yep, so it hangs out up there so everybody knows where they can get it from, and it'll sit there for the next 2 weeks or so, and I'll do reminders and everything ahead of the meeting, and pretty standard practice, what I do for most meetings. And then it'll be available if people want to read it that way, and if anyone wants to come in and get a printed copy, I'll print it for them, and yeah.
I guess I don't see a presentation because if somebody walked in at
Right.
6,
And that's where I think as we communicate.
Can it
that's
just
what-
be
the reason we're
feedback
asking
and
for it, so we
open?
know how to communicate it is if this is truly a come and go, or is it's from 5 to 7, but a presentation will begin at 5:15. I guess that's why we need to kind of know we want to know what your expectation is, but also so that we can communicate it with the public so they know, if there's a presentation, we need people to understand that if you come at 6, you're either going to
Gonna
come,
miss
you're
it.
probably going to miss the presentation. You're still free to come and ask questions, but you're going to miss the presentation.
More than anything, I want feedback on what's being put out.
I've never been a part of one of these. How many people are going to show up, really? If it's a beautiful day, I can't see anybody showing up, honestly.
But we've provided the opportunity.
Right.
I mean,
Yes.
We have
Or
to,
due
yeah, we have to
diligence.
do that.
so I guess I would like to see us or maybe some of us being there, being able to answer some questions as how we came up to these, or take that feedback and then we go from there.
We're feeling more free form.
Yeah, I'd say just
We have
question and
cookies
answer.
and
We have some of these
punch.
laying out, just question and answer
That's what I'm
session. That's
thinking,
good,
yeah.
in my opinion.
Maybe Daniel, you just give an overview of like, this is what we do every year, or
It's actually
how many?
not all that long. If you take out all the.
A quick
the,
overview for anyone who shows up?
Yeah, we could do question or answers. We could do something more similar to kind of what we did with Bushman with table-y stuff, or like we did with the original City Hall thing where we put up some pictures or something, and I can just walk people through it. I mean, I've got no problems. Just if people come in, I can just.
Having
I think at
copies
this
of it.
point, all of us, yeah, and all of
fine.
us would be able to, if they had questions about a certain,
Yeah, and that way as well, if like you can't come in, you got to be a little late.
Right.
It's not a huge deal.
Do we have to make it 5 to 7?
No, not at all. It can be whatever you guys want.
Can we say 5 to 6? And then if we don't have anybody, can we work on maybe the disc golf course stuff?
So
You know, since we're already
We've
meeting
done
for a
that.
workshapy thing, kind of?
Two things.
that's two things. So we have
No?
to be
Yeah.
careful. So-
Can't do that?
Can't do
Oh,
that.
So if it is
Okay.
an open house, this is where we get into open meeting law. If you're actually gonna meet and discuss things, then it's like, now I'm
It has to be
a
public.
workshop is a special meeting that
Okay.
we have to actually notice. So in this situation, we're
Keep it
saying,
separate.
and we might say that a quorum might be present, but no work will be done.
We're not discussing and making plans.
Yes.
Just showing our work.
So if you want it to have then be a workshop, then we need to notice it as such.
I think we leave that as open house
Yep.
and we try to get a workshop another time, but maybe just plan on our May 9th and then maybe in May make a workshop or something, because
Yeah.
we're kind of getting.
Yep.
May's a tough
didn't know
month
there
with
was a rule.
graduations
Yeah,
and
it
school
is.
ending. I mean,
It's gonna
that's
be
Is that when graduation is?
hectic.
May 9th?
May
End
24th.
of May at Pine
Oh, yeah.
River.
May 24th this year.
Well, let's revisit on our May agenda, maybe, just revisit again. We covered a lot of the things, but
Yeah.
let's try to
Because we're
cover
gonna
some
have
more.
a lot to
Just
kind of, yeah.
Keep covering as many as we can.
So I guess at this point, we'd be looking for a motion to, approve the attached draft of the master plan, removing pages 54 to 58, amending the committee listing, and conducting an open house to receive comment on the master plan on Thursday, April
25th.
25th.
5th at
5 to
5
6.
PM, from 5 to 6 PM.
6, yes.
I will make that motion. Do you
Second.
want me to repeat it? I will, if you want me to, but do you need me to repeat?
If you're making the motion that I just made, you good, Daniel?
Yeah, I'm fine. I mean, I know what the motion is. You can, if you'd like to
What
do
he
it, by all
said.
means.
Okay. I make a motion to approve the master plan with the exception of revised, updating the committee list and removing pages 54
4 to 58.
to 58. And also to schedule a open house for the public to ask questions or preview the master plan for the parks on Thursday, April 25th from 5 to 7 p.m.
6.
6 o'clock. Close.
Yep. Got it.
And Jim, that's the motion you're seconding?
I'll second it, for sure.
Any more discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Okay.
All right, are we moving on?
Yes.
I have to excuse myself because I have to go back to Festival of the Arts.
Okay.
So I apologize and I hate to miss this part because I was excited
Update
about
you.
this, but I am,
Do you have a vote for your favorite name?
no, I was really struggling.
I mean,
Because we know the people too.
Right. Yeah.
if you are really invested in it, would you guys want to, we could push it off for like a meeting or something? If you really, really, really want to be involved.
Well, no, there's some good ones. It was fun. I liked that. So, yeah. And I do apologize, but I try to be two places at one time.
Well, if anyone has strong feelings about the naming, could you make a motion for any of the names?
Take a vote.
I like,
Make a motion to look at the names?
No.
No.
Yeah, I hope you've looked at them.
I've already looked at them. My favorite are the Maxine Doolam, Monarch and Agate.
Monarch Trail and Agate Pass.
That was my two favorite. But I'm open to if somebody liked one from one and one from the other. But I just thought that those were fitting with our park and just, oh, they struck me.
And the monarchs kind of tie in with the other city stuff.
And I thought agate, like my 5-year-old collects agates all the time. That's such a Minnesota thing. Or maybe a local thing, I don't know.
I don't know if there are any in that
Well, they're
park,
up on the
but
North Shore getting.
So are we voting tonight on the name?
yeah.
That was the intent.
Are we, a motion that we make to vote?
She made the motion
Oh,
to
she
vote
did.
for this, didn't
I
you?
guess I didn't motion, I just said my
She just said
opinion.
that was her favorite. She didn't
Yeah,
actually motion.
so we gotta make a motion to vote?
Well, nominate
what
the
we're
ones-
doing tonight?
Yes, which ones do you want to vote? Which ones do you like? Make a motion for your favorite and we'll vote that up or down.
I make a motion for Monarch and Agate. I like those two.
I'll second it.
Okay, any further discussion? I liked the other pieces.
There were some nice.
Toss it and the faucet with the faucet house.
Yeah.
But I liked the natural names as part of it, and it's relevant to our town versus star or moon or, I don't know.
Lightning and thunder are strong, but it means rain, so that's the only bad part about that.
I think they were thinking maybe even like our lightning hockey team.
And I
Yeah,
guess
yeah.
the, one more item is that we never decided, I don't think, on
They're all
the
good.
prize.
We
It
did.
was all
We
voted
did?
at
That was when I
council.
wasn't here.
Was voted at
Yep,
council.
so there's 2 $20 gift cards for Play It Again Sports that Deb, I believe, has right now, and so whoever the winner is will receive those.
Okay.
In this case, I suppose, because you're choosing both names from then, that this,
They get both, and.
they'll get both, I guess.
Because each disc golf frisbee was $20 there.
So
that's
essentially, it
kind
was
of
two
the idea.
frisbees.
So 2 frisbees, yes.
So then we voted already.
No, you didn't.
We
You didn't.
haven't.
There was a
Discussion's
motion and a
over?
second, but there actually hasn't been a vote
And you
yet.
seconded?
Yeah, I seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Which one did you like?
Did you have one?
No, I didn't.
You like 1 and 2?
I'm just, I'm stubborn.
didn't
I'm a
believe-
stubborn old dog.
So I guess the only question I have moving forward, I guess there's 2 questions. The first is slightly, I guess they're both procedural. Which one's Monarch and which one's
I knew you were
Agate?
gonna say
Say
that.
how it's listed.
So Monarch is the
One.
original and Agate is the expansion?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay, we don't need any motion on that, it's a clarification that,
Would you want to have a runner-up that
Well-
we didn't pick, but we like their names so that?
I think they all did a good
Spread out.
job. That's my
Yeah,
mention.
I think we
is-
should send out like a congratulations to
And
everyone.
that was-
Thank you
that
to
was-
everybody.
that was-
Thank you.
That was actually my other question,
Yeah.
was
Yeah,
kind of a combination.
Thank you
How
for
do you want-
giving us-
How do you want the winner to be informed? And then, we can put together a thank you, an easy thank you letter to the people.
be
not
nice if we all
selected.
signed it.
But how
or
would you
whatever.
like the winner informed?
I could give it to them at daycare tomorrow.
Is there any way that we could,
Do we want to do
I
more
would
of
like
a
to
formal
publicize,
thing,
like,
more of a
announce
formal
the
kind of a
You could
thing?
do, like you could.
Like at next month's meeting, they come
ask to
and we could,
Recognize them at the next meeting?
Yeah.
That
Be
would,
fun.
that's,
Invite them.
if they could come.
Cute name.
I would like to, though, on the thank yous,
But I don't think as a kid.
let us all sign
That
the
doesn't
thank you.
give it-
Yes.
And the winner and all that.
yep, we can do that.
Yeah,
So
that's a good name, I like
put
that.
together a letter, thank you letter, and then also something for the winner. And then we'll plan on.
Inviting
asking
her
if
to the next
winner can
meeting.
be there, inviting them to the next meeting to be recognized.
Yeah. I like it.
Do you want to?
We'll hand out the prizes
to them
then.
at the meeting too?
Yeah, they'd be
Yeah.
at the meeting. We give it to,
Can we-
also we give it the gift cards to them at the meeting.
At the meeting,
Yeah.
yeah.
Good.
It's a little bit more
Invite the
formal.
mayors.
What?
Invite the mayor.
Yeah.
If you'd like, yeah, we can do that.
Or any city
Just
council
make it-
Any
member,
council
could they?
member
Yeah.
can be invited.
Make
Yep.
As long as
them-
they're not discussing work, right?
Well, all we have to do is we'll
Who's
just
that?
notice that a quorum of the council might be present and we're good to go.
Yeah, okay. Because I would like to invite them as well if they would like to attend.
Sure.
Look at us go.
That's great.
Yeah, so-
So now we can, actually, we can add those names to our master plan
That's
then.
what I was actually about to ask.
Yes.
I'm good.
I
to-
think we need parent permission.
No, the names of the course.
Oh,
No,
sorry.
just the courses?
I'm thinking
What?
privacy, I'm sorry. I'm in the private,
Courses to the master plan.
I'm thinking
Yes.
data privacy way too
Although I
much.
will say, committee members, Erden, if you are comfortable, I mean, I could also ask, or if you're comfortable, whichever, you might want to just drop a line to the parents and be like, hey, are you okay with your kid coming here during a meeting and us
Yeah,
giving
I will.
stuff
I'll ask
and me
them
taking
tomorrow.
pictures of them and posting it on the internet?
Yeah, get permission.
So I guess Megan, you're gonna.
Yeah,
make
I
the
could,
invite- Okay.
I could call
I just wanted
her.
to clarify that before we also reached down there, like, yeah, we already talked to Megan.
And then,
Yeah, that's more of the formal if we have permission.
We'll put together a formal letter as well,
Yeah.
but if you reach out to them
I
first,
will.
just to make sure they're comfortable with it, yeah.
Yep.
and will Joe then move forward with signage for each course?
Yeah, we'll
They can take care of it.
Get
We'll take
involved,
care of
right?
it.
Yeah, okay.
Well, one thing we have to do is just get it, like, in the U-disc, in their site too.
Is that
I
up
mean,
to us?
it'll be the kiosk that'll have the name of the, the
Eventually.
courses on
I
it.
can reach.
And on our
out to
website, it would be on our website. I mean, the sign's really gonna be the kiosk.
I can update it on our website.
That's gonna be
easily
a
enough.
future.
Yeah, good point, though, yes.
I'm not really comfortable touching you, Desk.
Old and new are probably.
I mean, I
No,
can
we
reach
just
out to-
noticed that,
I
tell
can reach
them.
out to UDisc and make a request, but I can't compel them to do
Yeah,
anything.
you just tell them what,
Original
what's,
and
I can make the
Just
request.
updating
what the name is,
information.
yeah,
I'm sure they wouldn't mind me just reaching out to their help desk and being like, hey, we updated the names of the courses.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I'd like to, yeah. Never mind.
Table?
Sledding hill and snowshoe trail. It's summer.
Can we move that to, yeah, let's move that to, can we move that to next month?
Table it tonight.
I guess if you have
I would love
I would
to
say
do
a
that.
motion to table it would be appreciated.
Motion.
Second,
Kelly,
Aye.
aye.
okay, Arnie.
How lazy are we?
Lazy, come on.
I know, not
3
lazy,
hours,
but just-
man. We're
We don't even
we're-
say the words anymore, we know.
And Sandy's sitting here, so.
Community garden.
Yeah. So she's going to report to us on what transpired when she presented to council, which was 3 months ago. So it's been a while. We haven't,
Sandy Loglin, 31694 Ranchette Drive. In January, well, the council had asked some questions from the previous time I had, and I brought those answers to those questions, and they were pretty simple, and what they, it appeared that they were pro-garden. That's what I got from it, but they turned it back over to Park and Rec.
Okay. That's it?
Yeah, pretty much. And the only thing that I have to say about it is that I'm asking that when you're ready, after your plan is done and everything, that if you're for a garden, that you make it a priority.
Yep.
And the big thing would be, getting back to council, that's what they're gonna wait for, is getting back from you, designating the place. Is it going to be back here, which is a really great place, you have talked to Joe, all of that.
He did give us a map.
yes.
Yeah.
And that's what this map is.
And if you designate the place, I think, and make it a priority on your list, I can then start to go out and get money. Get donations, whatever we need. But until that spot is designated and Park and Rec to the council makes it a priority and then approves it,
Okay.
nothing can be done. And just as a little aside, Pequot, within a few months, is now moving forward with the community garden. They have their place, I believe they're locating it next to the dog park is what I understand. I don't have all the details. But, we've been working on it for 2 years, over 2 years now, and it'd be really great if you decide that you want to move forward with the garden.
That sounds good.
I think it's a great idea.
I do too.
Good for the community. I don't know if there's any
I think
negative.
that's been getting logistics of all these
Right, putting it
moving
together.
pieces, but I feel like we're ready to,
Yeah.
Can David kind of tell us where we are and what we've done and where we are and where it's stuck and what we're waiting for?
So the standing direction, the last time you voted was last March. So again, originally came in the fall of '22, presentation council, came to Parks, And then in March of '23, I put together, at their March meeting, I put together kind of a plan as if you wanted to move forward with this. Here's kind of a, the next 3 months, knock out these questions. You'll be able to have a package ready to go to council saying, council, if you're the fund this, we're ready to go. At that meeting, the direction the parks took at that time, again, you can always change your mind, but the direction, the motion that was made was to, do the master plan, include it in the master plan. Once the master plan's done, do it in the CIP, and then address it wherever it falls in the CIP. So that was the direction you took back in March, and that kind of, at this point, that's kind of what's been happening.
Now,
It's in the master plan. Next step would be a CIP. If you want to take a different direction to say, hey, we just want to work on it,
think
again, it's up to you, but I'm just saying that's the standing direction that at least staff has is.
I'd like to see, now that we're tying up loose ends of the master plan, let's get some more feasibility moving on it I'd like to see the numbers again
Would you like me
and
to essentially
site plan.
bring back the kind of work plan I proposed back in March of
Maybe.
2023?
Well, I think we put the money in the budget, and what we need is, like Sandy said, just to
Have a place.
have a place, have council
Identify
say,
that.
yeah, you can have that space, and we want to give Joe the ability to go out and to get real pricing now, so we know what it would be, and
There are some questions that goes back to like that work plan I have of the committee has never actually taken a stance of like, how
We
many
are doing
plots and
this.
how many plots are
it's
you?
all right in this packet. Every plot
are
is in there, the
proposed
whole
things.
drawing is in there.
But Gail, have we ever heard what it's going to cost going forward? What parks would be having to contribute, or general fund, or whoever, going forward yearly? Do you have any idea on those?
Joe, I remember way back.
he had.
Joe was saying something, that it's to implement it is pretty simple, he said. We all heard numbers,
Right.
which I thought was really high.
He said 50,000, which we can be done a lot cheaper than that.
Yeah.
Yearly.
So we budgeted
Like the
50.
maintenance,
want a number
maintenance has got to be next to nothing once it's
Gives
up
you a
and running, I would
range.
think.
Right,
you don't know.
Budgeted 50
there is
for
the-
one year.
The work of Joe's crew that, like emptying garbage, compost, things like that. Usually in community gardens, the gardeners kind of take care of everything. And I know that if it comes down to yearly, it has to be remulched or, pathways or however we do it, that gardeners will volunteer and
Well, it
come in.
sounds-
It seems like it's just an upfront cost, and then somebody else.
There
you all
is,
take
there
it
is the
over.
cost of,
Water.
employees.
Water,
Well, that's just a well.
yeah.
Yeah, but, the.
But
the
watering.
maintenance Staff, the things that, the small things that they have to do. But I think, gardeners would take over a lot of it. And as I said, rather than have staff manage it, I would do it for a couple of years and hopefully we
Well, we
could.
had other people
That gal
here.
today,
looking-
yeah.
Right.
Vivian.
And, then after 2 years, and maybe I do it 5 years, or
Yeah.
somebody else comes in that's a gardener, I'm sure.
So you're willing to do that still? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
is.
Yeah.
I would love to see this move forward to at least get some firmer,
And that's what I was just getting back.
Bring that back to
clarification,
us.
is That motion be, again,
let's get the process
we want
going.
a vote, just be clear. Yes, you include that in the master plan, that doesn't including in the master plan doesn't mean that that is what you're doing. So that's why I would like any motion to do it be saying based off of this. That's why I wanted to make sure it's clear across everybody that the direction you're giving us is to get pricing and stuff based off of this plan.
I believe we're at a point where we're ready to make it a priority. I mean, we've kind of settled everything.
There it is. I mean, it's all in there if you look.
Well, and at
We've
one
had
point,
this
we
for 2
had
years.
talked about doing it in phases, and, I mean, we
We
didn't
could.
ever decide that, so I get why
That's
you're
what I'm
asking.
saying.
Yeah.
If this is
Yeah.
what you want, just make that clear in your motion and then Joe and Dana and I work with Joe and we'll work based off of this plan.
Can that be done before I'm asked, can they make a motion tonight to move forward? Even though
Then
the
we have
plan
to bring it
isn't
to
done?
council still,
To
right?
direct Joe.
Well, I think what I'm hearing is tonight is for staff to go back, get new numbers based on the plan, try to get as hard numbers as we can.
Bring it to our
To
next
bring
meeting.
back to parks,
Next meeting,
next meeting.
and then approve.
Can it include what typically it costs cities going forward as far as yearly, if there is
Joe could ask Cross Lake.
a way to figure out,
Yeah, we can put together some,
And
what
he-
we think staff numbers.
He has
would-
already talked to several other people, like, that run the Cross Lake Community Garden, and he knows what those costs are.
Plot and leaves it be a
knows what-
mess. Someone has to come
We
in
have
and clean
those
it
rules.
up.
If you look at
Yeah.
the packet that we
It's
did,
all-
we did everything. Cross Lake has been doing it for
But you
years.
might tell me I have to maintain my plot.
Yeah.
And I go, it's too much work, I'm not doing it. I walk away, I leave it. Do you come to my house and bring me, I mean, this is
No.
the question.
No.
of
We just-
life.
In the
We mow it under.
There are garden rules which we based
Yeah,
completely
someone has
off.
to do
Okay,
that.
so what the plan, I believe what it says is that you're notified if you don't come back and you don't weed your garden or whatever.
Someone
Or
gets
it gets
sick, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
Do you have to pay up front? Do you pay like a
$35.
Deposit?
$35 for your spot for
No,
the
but do you
year.
have to pay, like, in case you do abandon it?
No.
When my daughter had one, and this is where I'm coming from, there were some people who said, yeah, I want this spot. They started, lost interest, and then it was a huge mess.
Right, that's what I'm trying to tell you here, is in the rules
Right.
that you'll be contacted twice.
And then what if you don't respond?
It's covered.
Covered over
The whole thing is covered over.
with black.
And then everything
And it just
dies.
dies.
And it's
And then at
organic.
the end, they till
someone
it.
covers
We have
it
it all,
with
we have it all figured
Like
out.
Plastic, dirt, what?
We have it all figured out.
Yeah.
We don't need to go into deep detail on it like that.
Well, I just wonder, because that's an ongoing, that's the forward cost. that I
mean,
think we should know
It
what.
doesn't cost anything to just
Doesn't-
cover it up.
No. And then
Just plastic.
everything, if you cover it with plastic, it dies.
Oh, yeah, I know.
So then it's just raked up.
And
And
it's
usually,
tilled.
like with any community garden, the gardeners come in
They'll
and
probably
clean
come
that
here,
whole thing
yeah.
up.
We
and
tell
get it
them what
ready.
date and when they have to have it out, and if it's not, it's tilled under.
Okay.
May I ask a question about, regarding this property? Is this the property that we were presented today? Is that is
The
that
red
spot?
is what, the
The
spot
red is
underneath it.
woods, but the
So the
lot-
open spot, 1061038,
Right, I understand that.
Yeah.
Is that what we're saying tonight? That's where it's going to be?
that's what we're asking for. That's what we're
I guess
asking.
that's the
we-
question, so
I
tonight.
don't know where
so I'm-
we're at.
So I'm hearing two things, so, one, I'm hearing a
Location.
pending, again, no one's made the motion yet, but a pending motion to direct us to take this plan and bring back
You want me
numbers.
to do that
Updated
first?
numbers to construct, and implement. The question then, I guess, the following up about this site is, so we bring it, what I'm seeing is we bring back numbers at your May meeting, and then at your May meeting, you are looking at potentially making a request to council.
Correct.
Are you asking them to designate the site in May, and then you're gonna come back? I guess my recommendation would be do it all at once. Make a request to move forward with this at this location.
And
That
I-
include Joe's recommendation on location, because
Yeah, instead of it being like,
He
we have
writes
one
down
recommendation going
site.
to council
We
in May,
work
and another
together and, yeah.
recommendation
Right.
going in June. Save
Package.
it all for June, when you're all ready.
The only reason I ask about this is because if we specify this is the lot, then you need to consider electricity's gotta be there because you gotta put a pump up for the well in there. That doesn't, unless you hand pump.
Joe did do that, when
He's
he
done it
did
all.
that preliminary thing, when I first brought it to the council and to you, he said that running water from there is very easy.
This lot.
yes.
So he's already.
He's
talked about it.
recommending.
We
Yeah.
have already been through this, and
Okay,
update to that, update, since the new plan for City Hall remodel and addition, he said that actually, they're gonna have to put more water in for that building.
I will say, I don't want to necessarily speak to, well, as part of the remodel and addition, a well will have to be dug for fire suppression. I cannot promise that anything will be able to come out of that well, because a lot of times when they're fire suppression wells, they have to be designated for fire
Only for
suppression.
that.
That doesn't mean we might not be able to run something from
a
our
hose.
current well.
The current well, he said it's already possible, but he said it might even be, if it's possible, it might even be
be, but you
easier
have to
and
leave that
cheaper.
up,
So
yeah.
either way, it's
That's all I
possible.
wanted to know is if somebody
Either way,
had
it's possible.
Red piece
logistics
here.
of that.
The
well.
red is property that we don't own and that are open lots that we could buy,
Okay.
just for future reference.
So, I
But
make
that's
a-
where it is located, and that's all wooded there, and it's all open, so we don't have to do any tree takedown or anything. It's got sun all day long,
It usually comes down to, sun and water.
and he said
And
it's got
that
access to
area
a
right
parking,
there, I
other
believe-
parking lot too.
I'm sorry.
He said it has access to a second parking lot so that it can be gotten to from two different places for carrying things in and out.
I'll just say, as long as Joe has looked at this and it's feasible, I make a motion that we move forward with this lot and send it to the council.
With,
To clarify, you want
To
to go fish
update
council, you want it to
prices.
come back to you?
Update the pricing and do all that.
Make it a
just as
package.
investigative kind
Okay.
of thing.
But
And
it's gotta
bring
come
that back to
It's coming
us.
back to you, and we'll come bring it
With
to
the
May.
numbers,
Yep.
yeah.
numbers,
If they're
exact
gonna approve that
location, and then move it
location.
forward. I'll second that.
Sounds good to me. Any more discussion?
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Yeah, good
Yahoo!
talking.
It was worth sitting through the whole meeting.
Is it worth it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I don't know if you want to write that lot number down or show them the picture or whatever, but,
What do we have left?
all right.
Yeah, what was the number
So-
on that again? I'm sorry.
All that's left is staff reports and committee member reports.
Okay.
That was the final item that was
He
added.
hasn't even shown me.
1016036.
036, okay. got
Right
it.
below the red.
Right, yep,
If you're
got
looking at it straight up,
Right there.
Those lots are for sale then?
They're not for sale, they're privately owned,
Have
but
they
they're,
ever been, have those, I mean, at one time, I think it was council, everybody in this, like this general area was sent a letter asking, did they want to, were they
I
interested in
believe we
selling
have
it?
attempted to
Maybe
repurchase
we
those
try
lots,
again
and
in
they
the
haven't been
future.
interested.
Okay.
they might be interested once there's a activity going on right next door.
Or,
You don't know.
I mean, if the garden grows, you can always add a lot. And
right?
I don't know how much you can get on a lot, but anyway.
How much are the taxes on that property? About roughly?
Probably nothing. $50.
It's a minimum maintenance road.
I know, so they
No
can't,
way access
they're
to
kind of
it, so-
landlocked.
I
There's
can't tell you
no
there's not a lot of it.
maintained anything.
That's why some people just wanted to get rid of them. They go, well, my parents have been paying this for 25 years. What
how
does
we-
this say?
that's
Well,
how
it's
we
this
just got a
little thing
couple
here.
lots.
Oh, I'll
I think that's something we should explore in the future. You had said that
Add it
too.
to,
Yeah. So, future agenda item, those two lots. All right. Staff reports?
Nothing big, I guess. I just wanted to let you know, just so that you know as well, the first edition of the Breezy Brief Bulletin is currently out at printer. They're processing it right now. We have the invoice from them, and that should be out shortly, probably, hopefully by the end of this week, beginning of next week. So that'll be in everybody's mailboxes soon, hopefully.
Does it look like the one that's online?
No, it looks a little different.
Little
I have a different design. It's got a mailing design on it.
Yeah, so that's the e-newsletter. So the e-newsletter is that more of that activities report, and the you'll see the bulletin is more of a here's some things going on, updates, pushes people to our website, gets people to try to
is that
subscribe
like a
to our-
quarterly?
That's the quarterly mailer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then e-news
It's
is,
monthly.
cool. And we'll be able
Very
to
good.
add some things to
I
it.
like the newsletter, the E one. I'm enjoying that, learning things from it, It's a lot going on. Joe had something he was going to report, but he left.
I don't know what
We
that
had a
The sign,
family emergency,
oh no.
just, he had to go.
He was going
I'll
to tell
just
us about the signs.
I'll remind him tomorrow.
Oh, I know what he was
when
going
it
to
comes
talk about. He was just going to tell you that the directional signs, the new directional signs
Yeah.
from County Road 11, they have been approved by the county. And he has ordered them. So once they come in, they'll get permission to actually put them in, and then they'll remove the old ones. So that's what it was. Thank you. once I jog my memory. So they've been blessed and they're on order.
Yay, something's moving forward. All right. Anything else? Committee member reports?
I have one thing, but if I could trouble you to pull the map up of the golf course like you did before, remember that lot that I asked you to bookmark? I'd like to, I'm a member of the Lions Club, Breezy Point Pequot Lakes Lions Club, and I can get, we met with the governor and came to our meeting, and the Lions will give us grants for parks for playground playground toy, whatever slides and that type of thing. And I would like to just put this in, on your radar, any place west of 11, going that way over in the White Birch area, wherever, to propose putting a playground over there or something for kids to play in. And then they don't have to cross the highway. And we've had people come in and talk about that before. And I just thought maybe that lot was an option. I don't know if it's logistically something that can be done.
That is something I think has been discussed
At
at
disc
the
golf.
parking, the new parking lot is putting things there as well.
Well,
In general?
I can get a grant for playground equipment.
Awesome.
I don't know how much, I don't know all the details, but the governor of our district came and they're eager to do that. So, just throwing that out there.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think that'll come in our, the disc golf course, or will call it the recreation area discussion.
Whatever the name is
You know,
officially.
in the big picture, a recreation area discussion with putting
Add to.
a pavilion and a play area there, maybe, so.
The only caveat is that they're gonna have recognition, so just
We could put a
so
Lions
you're aware
thing
of
up there.
that. So, anyway, that's all I wanted to bring to
That's
the
great.
Put the
committee.
caveat that we want a lion water fountain.
Well, we could probably
Like in
get
Brainerd, yeah,
Memorial
they did.
Park, they have
I
the
know that-
lion water fountain.
Oh, yeah.
the person who makes those used to be on our club. He's now dedicated his time to Boy Scouts, but I could certainly get one of those.
Woo, at the
got
new at
connections.
the remodeled city hall, hey.
Anyway, that's it.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right, well, I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Aye.
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 Thank you all.
Wonderful night.
Thank you for all your time, that was a long one.